Hi, my name is Lubina Safard, and I'm married to Renald Denville. We are Yahweh's children. He actually created us, and we were born on earth through our earthly parents. My earthly parents are Jacob and Alta Grace Safard. His is Giselle and Bruno. Um, we had no clue, and we did not know who we were our entire lives. As of last year, sorry, I'm dealing with something right now. Well, I'll explain to you later. As of last year, I started hearing, I've heard voices, but not the way I heard them last year. I started hearing voices in my mind speaking to me, acting as if they were God, saying I was a prophet. I actually cried because I did not feel like I was worthy to be a prophet, because growing up they always tell you prophets are really good people, really godly people, and I've lived, I could say, a sinful life. The reason why I say that is because I grew up in church. However, every time I try to get close to God, something would pull me away. I would always pull myself away. It's not that I would pull myself away, something would pull me away. Something would pull me away. And I actually had not the hardest life, but a hard life. When I was younger, I went through a lot as far as emotional pain, for as far as familiar family or relationships. Nothing that I tried or got into seemed to work. I did not know Satan was literally causing this to happen. I did not know Satan was literally causing this to happen so I could become a colder person, so I could stop crying. Excuse me for the I'm thinking because I'm going through something right now. When you read this video, I'm sorry, not read, when you listen to this video, you'll understand better. Excuse me for any words I miss, because I'm actually going through something right now. You can call it demonic possession. Yeah, but that's what I'm dealing with right now. You'll understand better. Okay, so last year when I heard the voice, he told me he is God and he wanted me to be a prophet. I cried and I was not ready. I said, no, I'm not. I do not want to do that. He pushed me into doing it, and when he did that, it was a force. He was really pushing me, like, mentally to do it. I did not want to do it. He was proclaiming to be God, acting as if he was God, as in when he was speaking to me. So I ended up telling Renald. He believed me. I told Neftali. She believed me. When I spoke to other people, he was leading my conversations, as in downloading Bible verses or where to go find certain verses to send to the person. And I spoke to 2 people at the time, and they were very reluctant to listen, and they were very rude to me, like extremely rude to me. When I spoke to them, I just kept faith, because I was thinking, okay, God is wanting me to do this. He wants me to do this. I kept the faith and I kept listening and doing as he told me. Certain things were hard. He wanted me to pass judgment on my own family members, like one of my sisters. I didn't understand. I said, how is that a prophecy? In my mind, that seems like more of passing judgment with people around me, because from what I've seen online, when I watch prophets, they're actually talking about future plans, not judging those around him. So I was reluctant to say some of the things he told me to say, and eventually he would just keep pushing to a point where I felt my mind being taken over. If I pause, it's because I'm thinking. Everybody just went through this. You'll know. So their minds is a bit different, but everybody's gone through this, because we're literally going through the Third World War, and it's spiritual. So when I'm thinking, I have to remember, because they're putting so much other thoughts in my head, so I can't remember. After I spoke to Renald, he believed me. I spoke to my family members. They were shocked. They were not reluctant. They came over, they prayed for me. he wanted me to basically confess my sins and put them on Facebook. And I did that. But I did it with an open heart, saying, I'm a sinner. I've been through this, but God still accepts me. So when I did that, I did it, but it took me time. He was pushing me to do it. So when I started doing it, he was saying, if you don't do this now, you're going to die, you and your son. So I started writing that testimony, and as I was writing it, well, before I started writing it, I was getting weak and my son was getting weak. I didn't understand the spiritual at the time. So I felt like we were dying, so I was like, okay, let me help him write this. So I started writing it on my phone, and my sisters, my mom, they all came over, my nieces came over, and they were all praying. And prior to that, my sister Naftali, she used to watch Celestial the Prophet, which now we understand that God does not use prophets anymore. God does not use prophets, okay? It's the Jesus spirits. And I say spirits because there's not one Jesus. There are many evil spirits who do that. So when they came here, they started praying for me. And like I said, my sister was watching Celestial the Prophet. She actually advised us to start watching another prophet by the name of Robert Clancy, who had a playlist of prayers. But when they prayed, I didn't realize that it's not the same way how I used to pray as a child. As a child, I used to say, God, I would pray and I'll say amen. I never said in Jesus' name. I never prayed to Jesus. I always prayed to God and then I'll say amen. When I was giving my life back to God, in that prior to that moment of him telling me I was a prophet, people started having prayers saying in Jesus' name, and then they started changing prayers to Jesus, saying the prayer and then saying in Jesus' name or Almighty Jesus. That's what they started doing. But at the time, I didn't realize that the prayers had changed. I just started doing it because what I was seeing. But prior to that, I have to go back. I was on TikTok. Let me go back to before he started speaking to me. I was on TikTok and I saw 3 videos confirming that God's name is not Jesus. One was saying the letter J was created at a certain later on in a certain era, so how would that be God's name? The other one was saying Jesus means hail Zeus. So those were the 2, and there was a third one. And because I saw those videos, I said, okay, God's name obviously is not Jesus. I had to find out what's God's actual name, because in my heart I just felt like I can't worship him without knowing his name. So I started doing my own research. I got misled. I found Yahuwah. That was close, but it was also saying Yahuwah and Yahushua. Yeah, they had 2. That's how many names they misled me with. But I did find Yahweh. When I found Yahweh, I spoke to a friend of mine. Well, I sent a group text to Naftali, my sister, and Daphne. And Daphne said, oh, that name is very well known. The older Haitian community always says Yahweh. And I told Tally that, but the spirits were already attacking her. Sorry. The spirits were already attacking her. And she got upset and she started saying, God's name is Jesus, you can call him whatever, it doesn't matter. And she did not want to listen to me at all. So I came back with proof again, I remember, and she got upset again. She was really being attacked by the spirits. I didn't realize how much she was being attacked. But going back to Celestial, when she sent that, she sent a link saying follow Robert Clancy. I saw that link earlier in the day, but I ignored it. I said, okay, I'll go back to it. And then that same day, Naftali came here and she said, did you see this link? You should really listen to this man. I heard he's good and we should become prayer warriors. Which I said, okay, we're learning to give our life to God. Of course we want to become prayer warriors. So I started watching his videos and he took my mind back, as in the videos took my mind back to the point where I forgot God's name is Yahweh. And I started saying Jesus again, which growing up, I always said that was the Son of God. And I couldn't understand, because I always said, is he my brother? Is he our brother? Or is he, because he's obviously not God, so how do we relate to him? That's how I used to always say it. I was always thinking about that. I'm sorry, my throat is dry because I'm dealing with someone right now, and I'll explain to you later. growing up, going back, my favorite verse as a child was John 3:16. John 3:16. I didn't know, but it's like they put all of that information in my mind just to raise me up a certain way for a certain purpose, which I'll explain to you later. So in my adulthood, I remember I still was praying to God. I would say God, and I'll say Amen. But back to where I stopped, when I started watching the Robert Clancy videos, I started saying in Jesus' name over and over again through those prayers. And those prayers they're just prayers. They're evil because they're idol worshiping, but the spirits that were around me were using those prayers to harm me because they love calling themselves Jesus spirits. They act as if they're the Holy Ghost. They do all kinds of things that we as Yehudim aren't really supposed to do. They are the ones that created Catholicism and then changed it to Christianity when people started running away from Catholicism. So as I was praying those prayers, I would feel false miracles happening. I would feel pains going away. I remember when I had my son, I was actually burping for 3 years straight. It was embarrassing, but I would hide it, but I didn't understand what was going on. But they sent me a prophecy saying the burps will go away. My son hadn't spoken in 3 years. They sent me in that same prophecy. It was literally made for me. They sent me that prophecy saying that my son will speak. There was so many things in there that I was saying, oh wow, this was sent by God for me. This is prior to him speaking to me. And then, I'm sorry, I have to pause sometimes so I can remember. And then after the more I listened to those prayers, the more I would pray, but I didn't realize it was spirits taking over me to make me pray for hours and hours, but I was praying to Jesus an idol, which I've never done growing up. They were making a lot of false miracles. They made me see him because that's not how he looks, like an angel. How we think with the wings and light, that's not how they look. And they made me see them, like one was touching my back and the room was filled with angels, but that's not how they look. They were demons. Well, God did not create demons. First of all, I have to tell you again, God's name is Yahweh. He did not create demons. He created spirits. All spirits are beautiful and handsome because obviously they're people. But the way they taught us that angels have wings. That's not true. They taught us that demons have horns. That's not true. But I saw that as I was praying. I was kneeling down, and they were making my body react to it, as in my airways. I was coughing up. I was spitting up. I was going through a lot. But they were making false miracles, saying they were moving spirits of illnesses, spirits of, anxiety, spirits of pain, just everything. It was a spirit for everything they claimed, or in that video he claimed. So when I started going back to when my mom and my sisters were here and praying for me, I started playing those prayers. They put in my head to play those prayers, and my nieces started throwing up. And every prayer, the spirit was in my head saying that prayer is for this person's going through this, saying all three of my nieces have a spirit of death on them. Just all this craziness, to be honest with you. Saying my brother-in-law is a Freemason, saying that my father-in-law is a Freemason, or comes from a line of Freemasonry, saying that my grandmother had a spirit of divination. They were saying so much. So the prayers were saying so much. So of course, if you are not used to the spiritual as it really is, you fall into that. After that happened, I'm trying to remember what happened after. I started fasting. I went on a fast. And when I went on a fast, they took over my mind. As in, I went on a 3-day fast at first. And then when I went on a 3-day fast, my mind kept saying, making me feel guilty, you need to not eat longer. So then I went on a I went on a week's fast, 6 to 6, and then my mind kept pushing me to go on keep fasting. And then I heard a voice say, "Tell him you're my daughter. I'm a child of God, and I'm going to eat." So then, yeah, I believe that was my father actually saying that. And then his voice was very stern. So then I got up and I went to eat finally. So when I spoke to my friend, she had been a lesbian all her life. She's actually Braden's godmother. And I told her that I've been watching videos, and the videos were letting me know that all these things we have in our lives, God didn't create us like that. So she's gay. Well, she was gay. And that God did not create us like that. So it's a spirit. So you should just use this prayer, because it was a prayer. Just pray away the gay. So when I sent her that prayer, she was saying, "Oh, thank you. You know, I've been feeling like that for a long time. I don't want to be gay, and I'm happy that you actually spoke to me." Which they had already gave me the prophecy, or quote unquote prophecy, that something happened to her as a child, because they know your business. That's why I said there's no prophets. Something happened to her as a child, and if she prayed, she would not be gay. So when I gave her the prayer, I didn't tell her what they told me, but she eventually opened up and told me what happened. So of course you would believe that that's God's spirit trying to help the world, trying to help the world change from the sinful lives we lived. As time progressed, I started my mind started getting taken over by those prayers. I started hearing him say that my son is supposed to be supposed to be his vessel, as in he's coming back, but when he comes back, he's coming back in my son's body, and he was bred for that, but I couldn't understand the spiritual part of it. So I said, okay, so it's my duty to protect my son so nothing happens, because he said that it's not the first time he tried to come back, and this is the third time he tried to come back. And the last 2 times, somebody killed him. And as I'm saying this, I realized that he was actually talking about God. Yeah, he was actually talking about Yahweh. Yeah, that spirit that was talking to me is very evil. And he actually put it in a sense where myself, I had 2 abortions prior to having my son. But he put it in a sense as in Satan like took over my mind and took those 2 from me, and that it was the reason why he did not come through a virgin this time is because to hide himself, and that he hid us in the world. He said us too. So I thought he was speaking about me and my sister, but he was really speaking about me and Ronald Denville, and this was last year, literally over a year ago. So I always knew about a verse that told us in Revelations that when God comes back, he would come back as a black man with hair of wool, and my son's hair is pretty much what they described. So I believed it. He told me to speak to my parents. I spoke to my parents. I let them know. I spoke to my sister. I spoke to them. When I did, they didn't deny anything. They just said, "Oh wow," They believed. That's how controlling these spirits are. They believed. They even had me praying this prayer over and over again that made me speak in tongues, and I've never been able to do that. That's how they were taking over my body, by acting as if it was the Holy Spirit. And soon he was putting in my mind that demons are coming to kill my son, that I have to take my son to a port so they can save him there, where okay, prior to that, actually, he said demons were in my son. He has to clean them out. So as I was praying these prayers, I saw my son look at me and start laughing in a very demonic way. and I had to hold him down. He was strong. Same thing with my household. I had teenagers here who were acting different. They were laughing at things that didn't make sense. Their face to me were just not themselves. Um, I was able to see black lights prior to that. I was able to see black lights flying around the room for months, and I would even look up. I'm going back because I have to go back. I would look up. What is this? What's going on in my eyes? I thought I was going blind or some kind of illness. And then I remember seeing an Oreo video. When I saw the Oreo video, they were saying that demons are attached to it. I stopped eating Oreos because they have a satanic logo on it. So going back to teenagers, there was one, which is my niece from Renaldenville. She was staying here for about a month, and her behavior was aggressive towards other kids. It's not her. We start to understand that these spirits really attack. When they attack your family. They change your family. They make them who they are not 100% totally. So she would stay here. She was getting in a lot of trouble, and she brought in Oreos, and next thing you know, I would see the black spirits, but they're not demons. They just put in my head that that's what that was, that's who they were, because I didn't understand that spirits are so racist. I'll explain to you. So when she brought the Oreos in here, I would see the black spirits, but for me, they kept putting in my head that they're demons. And I would tell her, do not eat the Oreos. And then she would give it to Brayden. I would get upset because they were literally, every time he had the Oreo in his hand, I would see them. So they were playing with my head so badly, but I didn't understand what was going on. So that, of course, if you're not used to the spiritual, again, you're going to believe all this because you've never seen. You're going to believe what they tell you because you've never seen it. But that was prior to him speaking to me. I have to go back and forth because my memory, that was in May of last year, May of 2024. In June, end of May is when he spoke to me and said, I'm a prophet. And that was when those prayers, I was praying those Jesus prayers. I'm sorry, they're messing with my memory even now, so I have to fight. Okay, so when they were telling me that my son is supposed to be the vessel for him to come back, they said I have to get him out of here. And I started driving. I didn't know where I was going. He just said, follow, just follow. I'm going to lead you. I want you to drive. He had me driving everywhere. Driving. My husband's sister was going through a sickness. They told her it was cancer. She just stopped walking out of nowhere. She was going through a lot out of nowhere. It was a bad time. So I started driving. We ended up going all the way to Broward. We went to Broward twice, 2 days in a row. And they were making me see things. The first day they made me see, I heard three roosters. Three roosters. I forgot what it's called because my mind just went. But they made me see them too, as in the rooster. You know, the story of Jesus. That's how deceptive they are. They made me see them. They said you have to leave him, and because you have to take your son because where you're going, he's not ready. As in, my husband's not ready. It just playing with me. It was a game. It was such a bad mind game that if you have faith and you don't understand the spiritual, you would fall for it. So he made me leave. And then my husband was like, where are you going? He said, I'll be back. It was just too much. We could tell. Now I could tell we both were being mentally controlled. And then we actually came back home. Mind you, my house was upside down because I just remember prior to him speaking to me, I was very sick for 2 weeks to the point where my rib popped out and I had to go to the hospital. So my house was upside down. It wasn't my normal. And then we came back. The next day again, he said, you have to leave. They're going to attack you. So of course I'm trying to protect my son. We drove him down. It was we packed. Did we pack? Yeah, we stopped somewhere. Oh, 1 second. Yeah, so what happened was when we came back the first time, we were scared to stay in the house because they put in our mind that the house had demons. So we stayed at my dad's house, and I was getting attacked by by spirits so badly. I felt them biting at me, and they were calling themselves snake demons and demons of light. It was just so much. It was too much to put in this video. And I wasn't scared because I was praying, but they were making false miracles. They were acting as if the prayer was helping. And I was just praying that prayer in my family's house, putting it on every TV. They put in my mind that that's what you have to pray for them to leave you alone. But really, they were just playing a horrible game. So that next day, out of fear, of coming home, we went to Old Navy. We bought a couple items for each of us. And then we started driving to Fort Lauderdale because we were going to actually stay in a hotel. I was scared. I did not want to stay in this house. And then as I was driving, he kept leading me, go here, go here, go here. You have to get away from them. But he kept making it seem as if they were not just spirits, but they were humans in the flesh that were coming to kill my son prior to his coming back. And I ended up getting led to Broward, and he put in my mind, he showed me a frog-like demon, because I was there for hours. We were out all day, and he showed me a frog-like demon for me to move. And then when I saw that, I got scared. I reversed, and then I went towards the port. They have a gate. I went there earlier, and I was telling them my name because he put in my mind that everybody there is supposed to support us and is supposed to take my children and me and Ronald and hide us in Haiti. But I didn't understand. I just said, okay. He said Jamaica, he said Haiti, but he was trying to hide us. So yeah, it was a container area port. So when I got there, the cop kept leading me and telling me to go back. This is prior to me seeing the frog. I went back and parked. And when I was talking to someone, I was asking for, I think he gave me a name to ask for. I can't remember. I cannot remember the name, but a Haitian woman walked up to the car and said, be careful, you're going to get arrested. And in my head, they put it as in, they're going to make a scene as if you're getting arrested to hide you. So I waited to a certain time, and then I kept seeing planes flying by, and I was saying, okay, when is this going to happen? Because prior to that, we were dealing with so much family issues. It wasn't them, it was the spirits in them. They kept calling my husband's phone. It came off as more as harassment, even though it wasn't. It was the spirits doing it. They were putting in my head that they all have demons in them, and it was just bad. It was really bad. So when the night fell, I started getting irritated, and I was just thinking like, okay, we have to wait because this is very serious. But then he kept saying, go back now. That would have been the third time or second time. I'm not, but he said, go back over there to it's the gates, but you know, the one that goes up, and run through it because they're coming right now. And he showed me a frog-like demon. It was so ugly, but I didn't realize they were putting him in my mind. It was an image. Spirits don't look like that at all. And I got fearful, but I didn't know that it could manipulate your feelings as well. So I ran to the gate and I asked, can I speak to the officer on the other side? Because he wanted me to run through the gate. He said he had to go, but he put it as such an urgency that they're already here, and he showed me that demon. So I did not run through the gate. I just asked to get in. And when I asked to get in, he put in my mind to speed to the stop sign. When you get to the stop sign, you'll be okay. I sped off to the stop sign and I stopped, and then the cops started following me. It was literally a high-speed chase because they put in my mind that that's the plan they had to hide me. I didn't understand. When I got there, I stopped and I put my hands up. I got out and I explained to him what was going on. I kept telling them what he told me, I'm carrying quote unquote baby Jesus, and that's him in the back seat, and he's supposed to be protected. They've put all that in my mind. That's my first time dealing with spirits. I didn't know. Well, I dealt with them before, but I didn't understand. That's the first time out loud. I didn't know. So the cop, he put me in handcuffs. That was the worst experience, because I've always said I never want to be arrested. That was the worst experience ever. He said that he was going to take my son and daughter to the bathroom. I believed him, but they took them and put them in DCF, and they arrested me and Ray. And then I went to jail for the night and got released in the morning. But he kept speaking to me. When he kept speaking to me, well, no, when I got to the jail, the prison, the jailhouse, I was very upset. I started praying, and I was like, why would you leave me here? This is wrong, you know. I realized it was he was not trying to I realized he was not trying to help, but it was obviously not God. But I realized when I started praying, the voices change. The voices change, and it became multiple voices, because it was one voice and it became multiple voices. And then they made it seem as, you know, the end times when you have to pick or choose. So it was like the left ear was one and the right ear was one. Okay, I have to go back. When I was in the cop car, something came down like an angel, how we think they look like the statues. And basically did this to my ears, and I believe I passed out. I don't remember, but it was really hot in that cop car. It was so hot that I felt like I died and woke up. And that was I just had to go back to that. So when I was in the jailhouse, I started praying, and I was saying, like, why would you do this? And then the voices changed. They became voices of just a man's voice, one on this ear, one on this ear, and they were saying, basically, you have to choose. Do you want to choose to fight? Because this is a spiritual war. What side are you going to fight on? And then I couldn't understand. But I started hearing Catholic prayer. And then I started hearing, I couldn't understand. I kept going back and forth. I'm like, what do they mean? But I got it. But he was saying, what side are you going to choose? And I kept saying, the one up above. Because he said left or right. I kept saying the one up above. Because I'm choosing God. Because I don't know who is on the left or the right. Because one sound good, one sound bad. But I kept saying the one up above. And there were other girls in the holding area. And they kept saying, well, they're gone. They already chose to fight and train here. If you don't hurry up, you're going to be stuck here. So I kept saying the one up above, the one up above. So everybody kept going. Everybody kept going. So I was the last one in the cell. They know how to manipulate people as well, people around you. I was the last one in the cell. So then when the lady came and she asked me for my name, something told me to lie. I didn't. I gave them my name, Lubina. And then they booked me and they put me in a jail cell. When I was in there, I was just laying down. I didn't know what to do. They came in there to bond me out, but I couldn't understand. They kept saying, say your name is Rebecca. And I started saying my name is Rebecca for real, and basically act crazy. They were making me act like that. And then they kept saying, ask for a Christian priest. In my head, I'm like, what is a Christian priest? I've never heard of a Christian priest. But they kept giving me a name. So I just asked for his name. And I had a second prior to that, I heard the name. And when I asked for the name, they said, we don't have that person here. So they already put it in the lady officer's mind to say that name. And then they kept forced me to ask for that priest. It was a lot. They kept forcing me to ask for that priest. And then eventually the women got upset. They was like, just come on. Because I came off as crazy. And then they, I don't know, released me. They gave me the money I had on me because I didn't think we were coming back. I had, my husband, I left $5,000 with my parents, and then I had $3,000 some odd dollars on me. And then they put it on the card, and then they wrote the PIN number on the card. So when we left the jailhouse in Broward, the voice started talking to me again, saying, because they know how to erase your memory. So when they erased my memory, I wasn't upset anymore. The voice started talking to me again, saying, just look down the street. You have a car coming to you. Because I didn't know, oh, they're saying, first they're saying, oh, excuse me. When we went to Broward, we went to the port. So they sent in 2 DEA officers to my jail cell. And it was 2 men. And they were asking for, because I told them I'm looking for the Messiah. So then, or I have the Messiah. So then they're saying, you said something about Messiah? They were asking me, and I said, I don't know. I just said, I don't know. Because I was assuming maybe they thought I was doing something with drugs. I don't know. They said they had spoken to my husband and he's fine. And they released us. And then the voice told me that they came there to kill you. So you have to get away. And so we went the other way. We were walking down the street. My phone was dead. I had money on the card. I didn't know what to do. Ray's phone, I think it was dead. I think he had it. It was dead. But the voice was saying, I called somebody for you. They're right here. They're coming. Within less than 5 minutes, I saw my brother and my sister show up. And I tried to explain to them what happened. But I was scared to talk because it was just too much. And they kept putting in my head that my sister-in-law's a witch. And just when they put in your head, it's not a suggestion. It's a force. It's control. So I said, can you take me to Publix to take this money out the card? So they took me to the nearest Publix. My brother got out first, and I was telling my sister that my sister-in-law's a witch, and they were making it seem like certain things were objects of astral projection that were there, that they can use it to hear. It was really bad. And when I went inside Publix, I went to the ATM. It was in Publix. It was next to Publix. I went to the ATM, a Bank of America ATM, and as I tried to take the money out the machine would go down, just blank out, just like an app would. And I can tell, they put in my mind that they're doing that purposely, and they're saying, I'm watching you. So I called my sister. I said, come stand right here, and I'm going to try this. When she stood there, it worked. However, I forgot what made me unable to take the money out. Like, it started working as she stood there. I don't remember if it stopped, but I ended up not taking the money out because I was trying to tell her it's not working. It's not working. I know they're doing it purposely. So I took the card out, and then we went back in the car. We started driving, and it took over my mind and said, throw out this card. This card has a chip in it. This is how they're going to track you, as in the people from the prison. Because in the prison, as I said, I heard a lot of, I forgot to say this, I heard a lot of Roman Catholic prayers, and then I heard demon like voices, and some of the people actually looked like demons. Like their face seemed a bit twisted. And so that put fear in me, and I said, forget this money. They said, throw out the card, throw out the card. So I just threw out the card because I didn't want them tracking me. I didn't understand. They put it in my mind, so I said, forget it. I threw it out the window. And I told my brother-in-law, not my brother-in-law, I told my brother, yeah, I threw it out the window. My brother said, you threw it out the window? I'll go back and get it. I said, no, I do not want it, because the card was tracking me in my head. They put that in my head that bad. And I just left it there. So when I got home, they said, don't worry about it. It's gonna go away. They just put so much stuff in my mind. And when I tried to call for the money, eventually somebody took everything, all $3,000. They spent it. And obviously I tried to do tried to speak to customer service. It didn't work, so that was gone. Of course my husband was upset. I got him arrested for the first time. That's my first time. Actually, that's his second time. He told me that he got arrested when he was younger for fighting. So he was upset for trusting me, believing that I was a prophet, and I led him there to get arrested. And DCF took both of our kids. We got our son right back. However, my daughter, her dad took her. Jeff took her. And the next day, or that night, well, let me see. My sister had my son. So they started making us drive around a lot, saying they switched it in my mind. At this point now, they've taken it from Braden and they put it on Ray, as in his body is supposed to be used for the coming Messiah. But the way they do it is, it's like, I'm leading you, but I can't tell you too much. But again, like I said, my mind was taken over. So when your mind is taken over, you don't remember what you just experienced. So now I was driving everywhere, driving to Jupiter, driving everywhere. They had me following cars, saying that person's supposed to help you. I already spoke to them, which they did prior when it was me and my son. But every time the person helped us, they put in our mind that, okay, it's because he's black. They didn't believe the new Messiah would be black. That's what they kept saying, because I already spoke to them prior. They said they would help you and hide you. They did that a lot. But once he's like, yeah, once they see you're black, they don't believe that the new Messiah, the coming Messiah, is black. They kept putting that in my head. So when I got to Jupiter, they said, this guy has a boat. Follow this guy. When I got to the guy, he was speaking to me calmly, and I was explaining to him, God spoke to you and said that you're supposed to get us out of here because they're trying to kill us. And at this point, they put in my head that it's my husband that's supposed to be the coming Messiah. And of course I had fear, but when you think God's leading you and you've never dealt with spirits, you do some things that you don't understand. So the guy, he wasn't rude. He just said, no, I don't know what you're speaking about. And then he'll put in our head that, the voice will put in our head, well, my head, and say, well, it's because you're black. When they think the Messiah is white, they accept him. But when they see that it's a black person, they tell me no. They choose not to help. So then it's just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So eventually, they made me drive behind a go-kart with teenagers, and they're in my head speaking as if they're sending messages from the teenagers to me, saying, stop right here in front of this house. I'm going to speak to my parents, because obviously we're seeing signs and miracles, and, well, false signs and miracles. And in that time, a lot of people were believing, coming back to God. And when I stood in front of the house, they're talking in my ear. So when they're talking in my ear, of course, you're not used to that. Now I'm hearing them, and they're saying, just wait right here, clean out the car. They're going to switch vehicles with you to hide you, because I don't want, basically, my body, my vessel, being killed or stolen. So then they called the cops, and the cops got there. They were actually very kind, very nice. But they took over my mind so badly that when I got, they just told us to leave. When I got back in the car, I can't remember. When I got back in the car, I think we ended up going back home or to my sister's house. And me and my husband started having a lot of problems, a lot of arguments. And even my sister, she was trying to speak to us, but they took my mind over to be rude, to be nasty. But I can't explain it. As in, I wanted her to stop getting into our marital affairs. I don't know if she was truly trying to help, but they took over our minds. And while I was at her house, I would pray the prayers all day long. I could barely eat. I was seeing things. My sister came over. Neftali, she brought her kids over. They made us see, like, our kids' faces being warped and twisted. So they knew how to play a game. They were doing crosses with their fingers like this, all kinds of things. With my son at the time, he was 3. And when we were praying, my sister was taken over badly, and even I ended up calming down. And basically, they were putting in her head that everybody around her a witch. Not family members, but friends that she's close to, people that she went to school with. The same way I thought my sister-in-law was a witch, they put that in. Oh, that was prior to me getting arrested. Sorry, that was June 27. You see, I have to go back because my memory. That was June 27. That was prior to me getting arrested. Yeah, that was prior to me getting arrested. June 27th is Saturday. no, June 30th, a Saturday. And yeah, they put in our heads that our kids were going through demonic possession. We're praying using those prayers. We started speaking in tongues. My sister was calling people. Whenever she called somebody, something tell me she's calling somebody to basically interfere in removing these demons from the kids, because the kids were throwing up and spitting up. Yeah, they were making them throw up and spit up every time we pray, because they put in our head that spirits leave through your airways or through liquids. So they were throwing up and spitting up, and it was a lot. So they played with the entire family. Going back to the boat situation. So when the cops got there, well, trying to get away from here, trying to ask a stranger to help. When the cops got there, my husband, who was pretty calm and seemed very normal, spoke to them, and they let us go. But something in my mind said, you have to leave him right now. So I drove off and left him. It was bad. My mind was so bad. I drove off and left him. It was July 3rd, and I went to Port St. Lucie. I drove off and left him. I went to go find him. After I drove off and left him, I said, why would I drive off and leave him? That's crazy. And I went to go find him. I couldn't find him because I had no GPS. I had no phone. I was just going back and forth. They were leading me through my mind, saying, oh, you'll find him. You don't need a GPS. I'll lead you to find him. To the point where I just sat at a park. They said, just sit there. They kept putting images that he's going to get shot. It was just too much to explain. I can see these as in you were seeing visions. So I slept in the car at the park, and then when I woke up, it was the middle of the night. I drove to Port St. Lucie to go get my daughter. I stopped at a 24-hour clinic to ask for a phone to call her dad to see if he could just let me pick her up. He had just gotten her from DCF, so he was saying, he didn't say no, but he was just saying we didn't have plans. But I said we have to go on a cruise tomorrow, because we did have a cruise already planned to the Bahamas. And he kept saying, I'll call you back or call me later. And I was saying, I'm already in Port St. Lucie. I'm already in Port St. Lucie. And he was just saying, I'll call you back. He didn't tell me no. So when I left, I flagged down a cop, and I asked the cop to take me there to get my daughter. And as I said, the voices at the time was leading me, because I can't remember if it was one voice at that time, was leading me and making it seem like everything's okay. So then the cop said, okay, we're going to get your daughter, just drive forward. So I drove forward, and then I was waiting for the cop. I was looking for the cop. The cops were already controlled. The cops never showed up. Then they were putting in my head that the cop they did so much demonic things in my head at the point. The cop is the angel Gabriel, one is the angel Michael, and yeah, it was bad. And I was waiting, to say, park right here and wait. Then they did something very demonic in my head, and I couldn't understand it. I pulled myself out of it, and then I kept going back into it. Then they were speaking about my neighbors, saying there are angels on earth, we just don't know. That it was just too much to get into. It was very demonic, extremely demonic. It was like a mental, sexual thing that they did to me, and I kept pulling myself out of it, but it was like you're stuck in it, but you didn't understand. It was off. It was a very sick joke for them. So when I pulled myself out of it mentally, I remember I was waiting there. I was wondering, when is the cop going to, because it wasn't a phone call, it was through my mind, when is the cop going to meet me? Because they're saying the girl over there, the stepmom, they're saying has a Baphomet demon in her. So it's better for me not to show up there. But if I show up there, I have to fight that demon as I pray that demon away, using those prayers. And I don't know what happened. I remember they said throw out your clothes because demons can smell you. It was a lot. It was so much. And I had already seen what they called demons at that point. So I was just getting tough. I had to get tough and say, okay, I have to pray these demons away. But something happened. I remember saying, raised in danger, you have to go to him. It was just so disgusting. That's Satan Jesus. He's evil. He's disgusting. I'll tell you about him soon. But he was playing this mind game, whereas in calling me the tree of wisdom, and it was so disgusting. Calling me the tree of wisdom and saying you have to either choose your husband or choose to save the world. Too much. So I ended up going back and forth, and I chose, like, it was just a storyline. It's a long storyline. I'm not going to get into it. I ended up choosing to go find Ray because they were saying that he was going to get shots or something like that. So I left Fort St. Lucie with no GPS. I don't know how. I was just driving up and down until I figured it out. And then I made it home. By the time I made it home, he was getting dropped off to my villa by my nephew Jacobson. And he was okay. He wasn't angry. And I just didn't, he just said, you know, God made me realize that I needed that walk. So it humbled me. Yeah, they were talking in his head too, but I didn't know. It humbled me and made me feel better. We're okay. He's always been supportive. So I just said, okay, I'm good. And then I remember when my sister was dealing with the demonic possession, I had this is when we were doing those Robert Clancy prayers. I've recorded it, and I had the recordings on her son's phone, my phone. So I had the phone, and then they put in my mind that you have to put the phone in the mailbox so it doesn't get lost, which is crazy. I'm telling you, it's that bad. They put it in my mind. Oh, okay. They put it in my mind that I had to hide that phone in there because that phone had the evidence of demonic possession. And I put it there, and then my sister messaged me saying, hey, are you still going on the cruise? My mind kept saying no, and then I wanted to go no and yes, no and yes, no and yes. So then I said, whatever. I just packed whatever I had and threw it in the bag. My sister came to pick up me and Ray, and she grabbed my passport because prior to getting arrested, I put my passport, my children's birth certificate, everything in a book bag, my tablet, and that $5,000, and I gave it to my sister to hold. And when I did, Natalie went and got it for me. So we went on the cruise. When we went on the cruise, we didn't even get to enjoy the cruise because they put in my mind to fast, but I was able to eat every now and then. They put in my mind that I was pregnant because prior to that, we had stopped being sexual for over 6 months because I gave my life over to God, and we weren't married in the church. We hadn't gotten married. And then they put in my mind that morning, you're going to get a copper ring so me and him can get married. And when we went there, we stopped at ring stores. The voice was leading me the entire time. We stopped at ring stores. We stopped at Bahamas. We stopped at ring stores, and then we found a boutique where they sold copper rings. And because I was thinking about back in those days, what rings did people use to get married? So copper is what came to my mind, and I heard copper that morning. So there was a woman there, and she let me know that God put in her mind that she was going to marry a couple today. And she had her son John, and saying, you see, my son's name is John, and I'm never going to forget this day. And then she prayed with us, and she married us right there at that boutique. And she already knew it was in her mind. She was already aware that she was going to marry a couple today. So after that, I went over to a restaurant across from her, and we sat there. They were treating us like royalty. They already put in our mind that, yeah, these two are under honeymoon. And he was basically, they already ushered those people or played in their mind a certain way. And
give me my charger.
one moment, please.
The one you give me is not my charger. I got it back over here right here.
Okay, so when we got to the restaurant, they were being very kind. Went to sit inside. Something said, well, he said, I didn't tell you to sit inside. It's going to get very loud in here. It's going to get very packed in here. So go sit outside. I sat outside, washed my hands, washed his hands, my husband's hands, and they gave us the menu. We chose the food. He put in our mind that I already let them know you both are the guests of honor. So if it's after you eat, the restaurant's going to get packed. And literally, it was just us two, and I think a couple was waiting for food. Next thing you know, it got packed. Literally, so many people started coming up and saying, "Is the food good?" Well, there was one or two people came up and said, "Is the food good here?" I said, "Yes." And then you could tell they knew what was going on, but didn't know what was going on without us telling them. So they just kept staring, like they would look at us, and I could tell the spirits were, well, now I know the spirits were already attacking them, because they're so organized. They know how to set up a whole movie scene. So when we went back, we got on the boat, and I told my sister I got married, but she didn't want to believe me. They even put in my mind to ask my sister for her engagement ring, because that was supposed to be for me. It was so much. I was like, well, I wouldn't want that. They kept putting in my mind. She wanted me to have it. I said, no, I didn't want that. That's how much that's how much tricks they play, but I didn't want that. So when we got back, my sister was hearing the voices as well, but she wouldn't tell me. She was just in fear, and she was saying that I could tell she was fearful, and I was holding her hand. I was saying ignore. I forgot what it was. Oh, okay, because when we're listening to the prayers, those Robert Clancy prayers, she was getting attacked by demons, even though I was dealing with them, but they're playing with me as if it was God. And with her, there were demons, because she wouldn't listen to the prayers, which I didn't want to listen to prayers at first, and then she made me listen to prayers, and then it was back and forth. It was not us. We were being controlled. Sam told her not to listen to prayer. She stopped listening to it, and then it got in my mind to push her to listen to it. So I would hold her hand, and well, I just told her that when I was in prison, because I was in prison, I think that 2 days prior, and I told her they made me choose, and I chose God. So we're really at the end times. So she knew, and I just hold her hand. I was like, just listen to godly music and ignore them, and that's what we were doing on the drive back. When I got back, it got worse. I remember waking up reprobated. I don't remember how. I don't remember anything. Honestly, I don't remember anything. I from time to time try to remember, how did I get from hearing God to hearing millions of demons in my head, voices so loud that my mind was taken over for 3 days. I was laying in my bed. I couldn't pray. I tried to get up and pray. My mind was hurting so badly. And they would say, pray in your heart. It was a lot. The voices was like flowing. I heard them everywhere. It was too much. And when I went through that, I remember I had a hair appointment. The voices were getting, they would change. It was bad for days. The 3 days were bad, but then it was bad for weeks, I think, because it's so hard to remember, because it was that bad. And the voices would change. The narrative would change. They would say, we're the team. We're working with you. Like, they'll bring back the voices from the prison that say, we're good. We're the good guys. We're the bad guys. The right would be good. The left would be bad. They would change. They're saying, we're trying to find the right place for you and on our team. It was just so much. Then it became a trial of tests in my mind, and they would say, okay, what's God's name? They would put in my head that God's name was Jesus. I hate that name, but I would say it. Or are you choosing? What are you choosing? Something like that, over and over again, over and over again. It was so bad. It was 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours. I don't know. It was a long time period of just going through this over and over again. I don't know if it was weeks. I don't remember. It got so bad to a point where they were saying, okay, we're the Christian witches, where the Trump Jesus is, where elephant lady, like, and it was many voices. Okay, if you end up stuck on the demon side, your spirit's gonna be stuck on the demon side. Okay, you better say this now, so you be on God's side, because when you hear death, you hear stomping on one side, and they said that's somebody dying. They said you have to stay up 24 hours. You have to stay up because if you fall asleep, you're gonna kill somebody. And then I'll shut my eyes and I'll hear like a stomp, and I'll hear somebody scream. It was like they were saying we're all connected. They didn't say spiritually, but a certain way. And I would hear a scream, and I would hear a demon voice. And of course, who wants to be stuck on the demonic side? So I would end up on God's side, the heavenly side. And the next thing you know, I'm like, okay, I feel calm. They play so many demonic games with me. I feel calm. I'm going to go to sleep. And then next thing you know, you fall back on the demonic side. And then you'll hear stomping. It was bad. It was really bad. I can't explain it. If you didn't experience it, just pray that way you never do, because that was so evil. And it was millions of voices. When I say millions of voices, it was millions of voices, different storylines, to the point where I didn't know what was going on. Was I chipped? They were saying it's a chip. They were saying it's spiritual. They were saying this is a new way we vote now. Do you want to vote Jesus Trump, or do you want to vote Jesus Trump, or Jesus Cross, or do you want to vote Elephant Lady? I said, this is how you vote. No, I'm not voting for this, you know. And they'll put in my mind that if you vote the Elephant Lady, your son's going to be gay, because they have a chip in their heads now that controls them, that makes them gay. And at the time, my son goes and picks out shoes for me, which is not normal. He picked out shoes for me, which is not normal. So of course I said, okay, I have to vote Trump, because I don't want my kids to grow up and be gay, because they're saying it's a chip that was making them gay, as if they had no choice. And that came from the Democratic side. It was a lot. It was so evil. So then at that time, I think Sandra Massey was murdered by an officer that had just said something about she's dying for Jesus. It was bad. So they was letting me know, that's going to be you. That's going to be you. They said, I wanted to go to church for a long time, but I always had a fear of churches, and I always say, I don't want to go to the wrong church. So I was asking to be led to a certain church. So then while that voice was, is this prior to I'm trying to think, if it's prior to getting arrested or after? It is after. I got up and I went to a church, Journey's Church, and they put in my head, they said, this is why I don't want you at these churches. All they want is money. Because when we got there, that church, they had $6 million and they needed $4 million to buy a building. And they put in my mind that this is why I don't want you at this church, because this church, okay, let me go back. This is why. Okay, so when before I told people I was a prophet, they made me think that. They gave me a vision while I was sitting down on my bed, my eyes not closed, I don't remember, and then I saw a black pit, and I saw so many people falling, and on top of it was a church building, like the emoji falling on top of them. And in that vision, they put in my mind that meant that the churches are leading people to hell, which in actuality they are, because these churches praise Jesus. So at the time I didn't know, but I told people that. So I told my family that. So going back to that church I went to, it made me fearful of going to certain churches. So when I went to church, it's just like, I like the church. They have a play area for the kids, and it's good. And in my mind, I was like, I'm not coming to this church because it's all about money. The whole sermon, we got there late, but the whole sermon was literally about money. They wanted to raise money. And the church ends at 12. So I was saying, doesn't make sense. Why don't you just have another service or 3 more services? Because they're saying the church is too packed. They need another building. The other building's $10 million or so. And then they said it's on Forest Hill. And I was thinking, like, I'm from that area. I don't know what I've never seen that church, because they showed me a very beautiful church in the picture. And I said, I'm not going back to that church. And I wanted to stay out of church for a while. But then that's when Ray's friend invited him to Trinity. When he baptized the Trinity, they already took Ray's mind. I didn't know. He literally grabbed my son and went and left. And I was thinking, why would he do that? He took him and left. And I was already dealing with a lot with my daughter not coming back, because at the time Jeff had Madison, and at that time he wouldn't let me speak to her. I would have to call, and I would call constantly. It would take time for him to allow me to speak to her, and then she would cry, and I would cry. I wanted to pick her up. He wouldn't let me pick her up. He would make excuses, say, I'll bring her to see you. I'll bring her to see you. So that Sunday, after Ray took Brayden and went to church with him, they were playing in my mind, saying he's gonna come back as Samson. They do so much demonic games, it's not even funny. As in tough, and played their whole Delilah thing in my head. It was too much. And then I was too depressed. I was worried about my daughter, because I had not been away from her that long ever in her life. So I called Jeff, and he told me he'll bring her to me after his church is over. So maybe so I started cleaning. At the time, as I said, I wasn't really eating. I lost over 30 pounds, or about 30 pounds. And I was just cleaning. I did not have an appetite. The spirits, the evil ones, they know how to hold your stomach and make you not hungry. So when you fast and when you don't eat, your mind gets weaker. So fasting is not good. Fasting is not what you think it is. They want you to fast because when you fast, it's easier to take over your mind, like MK Ultra. So that's how they got me badly. The fasting is how they were able to control me and make me do all this craziness. So when he went off to church, they put in my head that he was taking my son away, and it had to do with he was taking my son away. That's what he put in my head. And I'll go back, but he put that in my head, as in the spirits. They put that in my head. And then in my head, it made me feel like I was losing a second child, because I just lost my first and I was losing my second child. So after Jeff didn't call me to meet up with him to see Maddie, it had been weeks already. And after that, I'm sorry, this is a true fight. I'm getting a lethal injection right now in the back of my head. Right here is burning. So if you see me acting a certain way, slowing down, it's because of that. I'm dealing with the Illuminati and a group called Yo Mama. I'm gonna tell you later. They want me dead, because when the truth comes out, the truth will hurt them, not me, and not the future generations. This is how serious this conversation is. I'm talking all casually, but that just reminds me how serious it is. It's a true burn, but my Father is Yahweh. He is God. He's holding me. Now, I'm going to go back to the conversation. You see, the truth hurts them, so they'll rather try to kill me and burn me. They know I cannot die as long as Yahweh's holding me. So when he took him to the church, I called Jeff. I said, Jeff, you told me you're going to bring Maddie to me. I haven't seen her in weeks. You're not letting me talk to her. If you do not bring Maddie to me, I'm going to call the cops. I called the cops. When I called the cops, I already mentally lost it. The spirits were controlling my parents, my family members. Ray went and picked up my family member. I told him, I don't remember how, but he brought my dad here, and the cops got here. When the cops got here, I was trying to explain to the cops that he took my son, and they put in my mind that he took my son to a friend that was going to put my son in a child sex ring. And prior to that, they were already putting in my mind that my sister-in-law was like doing stuff like that. When they put in your mind, they really put in your mind, because you're not eating, you're weak, you haven't slept. They take over your mind. So when they did that, the cops came in. I said, I'm dealing with I was dealing with children who had demons in them, and I was honest because I didn't know. But I was just being honest. I was like, look at my house, that's what they did, because the kids were here for over a month. I was sick. And I told them I had gotten I'm trying to remember. No, I didn't tell them. Oh, my dad said that I had demons. But it wasn't his fault. As my earthly father, Jacob, it wasn't his fault. They took his mind. and they were making me talk to him about personal stuff about him, acting as if it was prophecies. And then I'm sorry that it's burning here. My veins burning from this conversation. They hate the truth. That's how you know when I'm talking, they're gonna feel this, because the more they bother me, the more I get irritated, the more truth I'm gonna put out there. Yeah, that Jesus Trump thing really bothered them because Trump is still alive, and that's the game they played. So yeah, I'm going to stay calm and talk, but this is going up, and this will make it. So when Jeff didn't show up, I tried to explain to the cop that I was dealing with this. The cops ended up leaving, and then I got so hungry, so weak. It put in my mind that I was going to die right then and there if I didn't eat. I texted Ray. I said, I'm so hungry. He texted me back saying, what would you like to eat? My mind kept saying, he's not going to bring you the food, that he wants to kill you. Like, quote unquote, he killed Claudia. He did not. But it put in my mind so bad that he did it for insurance, life insurance. That's what they put in my mind, or to sue, or life insurance, because I had life insurance and he was the beneficiary. And they put in my mind to rip it up. They put it in my mind badly. And prior to that, they had me throw out everything, saying everything was cursed. I felt them hit me. Anything cursed I touched, I was seeing fruit that had mold all over it, bread that had mold all over it that just came into the house. They were telling me that that his mom and his sister on a Christian witch prayer line, that they're witches. I would hear their voices in the house, and yeah, it was bad. I was hearing their voices in the house. My sister was also going through it. They were saying that her and her whole family has Roman demons. They felt weak. Prior to that, I went 3 days straight, not sleeping, and had so much energy. I'm just going prior to the arrest and prior to calling the cops. Doing all kinds of prayers, from the Robert Clancy prayers. Actually driving to my sister's house to chase out a demon through those prayers. She said her mirror was demonic. She saw a man go in and out of her mirror, and ever since then she stopped living in her house. She was actually living in her and her husband's place of business with their kids for close to a year, because she was so scared to sleep in her house because she saw a man go in and out her mirror, and she was so scared to stay at her house. And then I told her, you have to pray to God so he can show you what's in there that's cursed, because that happened for me prior. This is prior. And when I was praying, I saw like image of some Catholic stuff, like Mary, and he had a chain that he got from his ex, I believe. It was a rosary. I went up there, I made him throw it out. I would say, what are you? Because in my head I was Christian, but in his head he said my dad's Catholic, so I'm Catholic. He would say that. I'm like, you're not Catholic. It's not good. You have to throw this out. And there was something else. I was looking for everything cursed in this house. I was throwing out so much stuff. This was before I got arrested. I was throwing out so much things. This was back May, June of last year, of 2024. I threw out beds. They told me the bed is an altar, because at the time the teenagers that were here, it was so off. The spirits messed with all our family members. She was 15, but the sister I was going through cancer, which was truly something spiritual, not cancer. She needed more help, so a best friend of hers dropped her teenage boys here, and I texted her. I said I was sick at the time. This is when I was truly sick, when I went those 2 weeks sick, and I texted. That was May, June, before getting arrested. I texted her. I'm like, why are they sleeping in the same room? They're not supposed to sleep in the same room. He didn't do anything. That's how I knew it was the demonic possession. And they even put in my mind that I was so weak. I was just to protect. This is before I got arrested. I was just to protect Brayden. I'm focused on Brayden. Focus on Brayden. Focus on Brayden. Maddie, when I went there, she was sleeping on the floor. The teenagers were sleeping in the bed. They didn't do anything, but they put it in my mind, and that's not normal for me. I would never allow that. And I was so weak, I just couldn't understand why my husband didn't focus on, because I already texted him. I was like, don't let them sleep in the same room. And when they did all that, that's what made me think they were just demonic. They were filled with demons. So going back to the cops coming here, I told them that yes, I had teenagers here that had demons, and they just said, well, okay, can't do anything about that. And they left. When they left, I was hungry. I felt like I was going to die. They put in my mind that my friend Emma's going to come. I called Emma. Emma, I think, did not pick up. And then she was about to call back. I ignored her. They made me ignore her. And then I called Neftali because I felt closer to her because she knew exactly what was going on. My sister Tally, she knew what was going on, but then she kept saying, I can't come. So then I called 911. I said, I'm starving. And I'm dehydrated. I need an ambulance right now. So they said, if you're hungry, just go inside and eat. I said, I don't have anything here. I don't have any keys. I don't have my wallet. I had my wallet, but I didn't have any keys. And then they hung up the phone on me. I called them again. They hung up the phone on me. My phone died. I put my phone down. I ran outside because I was weak. I didn't know that they were playing with me. They know how to manipulate your body that bad. I was so weak. I went outside and I saw one of my neighbors, I don't know if it's her mom or sister, and I asked her, can she call 911 for me? As she was calling 911, the police officer that was there earlier pulled up. It's like they put in his mind to stay right here and wait. So then I went back to him and I was telling him that I'm starving. He said, go back inside and eat. And then it's like, he was trying to help me, but I didn't understand. He said, go back inside and eat. I said, no, I don't have keys and I don't have any food here. My fridge was empty because prior to go back to getting arrested, they put in my mind that all the food here was cursed. So me and Ray threw out all the food along with so much stuff, along with the beds. It was everything. It was so many things. And broken glass, cleared out the cabinets, everything. And I was explaining to him, I don't have any food here. I literally just have water. My fridge was bare. And then he wouldn't listen. I said, I'm dehydrated. I just been drinking water. I need normal saline because if you don't eat, obviously your body cannot take in what is it? Minerals. I can't even think right now. I'm sorry. I'm literally getting lethal injection. This is not my first time. I'm sorry. So the cop, I could see tears coming through his eyes, and he had his hand on his gun. I was saying, all I need is an ambulance. Call me an ambulance. And I started yelling at him. I said, because I saw his hand next to his gun. And I said, the whole neighborhood has cameras. If you shoot me, you're going to be in trouble. I started screaming. I said, look at the neighborhood. Look at the neighborhoods. Look at the neighborhood. There's cameras everywhere. All I need is an ambulance. They would put it in his mind to shoot me. But he didn't. So finally, a neighbor of ours, he pulled up. I said, I just need an ambulance. I was spitting up dry spit, foamy spit. And the ambulance came. And that's when I got into the ambulance, the cop started following us. And then I felt like my heart trying to stop. And they were saying he's doing that. But it's like the voices are in my head, but I can't explain to you. I couldn't explain. So my heart was getting grabbed at. And when I got to the hospital, I was trying to explain to him I need normal saline. And they just checked me into the crazy house. I told them I was dehydrated. They didn't give me any normal saline. I said I really need, when I got there, they filled me up with water. They know how to do that. So I was so dehydrated that my spit was dry. But when I got there, they told me pee in a cup. And they put in my head since the boat that I was pregnant, because this is 2 weeks after the cruise. And they told me to tell them you're pregnant, and they put in my head that Ray got me pregnant just to kill me in this hospital because he did that to Claudia for insurance. That's what they put in my head. They put that in my head, and when they do it, they act out a scene as if it's Hollywood. And they're saying him, and that was the day that they went to church. I was missing Maddie. I wasn't eating. My earthly dad said I had demons. Ray was hanging out with my parents, bringing them back and forth, as in not that way, but just saying I'm the problem, I'm the problem, I'm the problem, I'm the problem, I'm the problem. And they put in my head that him and his friend Damien went to my parents' house to go do magi on me to kill me while I'm in the hospital. That's how bad it was. To kill. So I told the cop that, and I told him to look up Claudia Hernandez, and the doctor came over, and she didn't. She just like, they kept putting in my head, everybody know, but I forgot that it was at Wellington that she passed away. They put it so deep into your head that they made me think it was Del Rey. And I was like, yeah, he's trying to kill me, because prior to that he was being so mean to me. I was not used to him being mean to me. The TV was turning on and off. Yeah, they were saying it was bad. The TV was turning on and off. I would put those crazy prayers on, those Jesus prayers on, thinking that would help. And that was while the cops were here, or my parents were here prior to, I don't know if it was during, yeah, the cops were here. And the TV was going off, and I'm like, I know I see him with the remote. He was turning off the TV. And I'm like, you're turning off the TV, leave it on. And he was like, no, I'm not, no, I'm not, no, I'm not. His mind was taking over. He was like, you're turning off the TV. I kept saying, turn off the TV. He said, no, I'm not. The TV was turning on and off. It was him. But it was not him. It was his mind that was taking over. That's why I knew when his mind got taken over. And since then, you know, so when let me see, when I got there, they put me in a crazy ward. That was my first time ever. They put me in a crazy ward. I remember them playing with me spiritually, saying, I'm trying to remove these, they're playing like, there's something they call two spirits fighting over you. And they're playing like this game, saying, I have to get the good spirits here to take the bad ones out, but these are not my spirits, so I have to play a certain game with them, because they act like they're spirits of light, but they're not. There's something I can't explain to you. They're making me see things. They're saying lay down and play dead. They were saying they were trying to get me in there to, this is where they hired the Christians. It's the end time. Remember in the prison, they told me I have to choose left or right. I kept saying, I'm choosing God, I'm choosing God, I'm choosing God, because I don't know who left or right is, you know, because they're saying, the more I said that, ignore that. I'm still dealing with one, and the world knows. Yeah, so I was already going through that. So they were saying, I have to get the angels of light to remove the darkness, but they have to act dark to remove them. So then they would remove one, and I would feel some like crunchy thing. We know now it's a device, and then he'll be like, touch your ear, and then I could feel like a powder, but it was like something else smushed. And then he was like, okay, I got that one out, but you moved or you talked, now I can't get the other one out. It was so many games they played with me. They would say, talk to the nurse. The nurse knows about you. The nurse knows about you. I spoke to the nurse. The nurses thought I was just even more crazy. I was hearing demon sounds. The people were passing gas. Yeah, it was loud. There was people in there. There was a lot of people in there. There was a black lady in there. She said she's so full of demons. You need to go sit in the corner. I went to go sit away from them. I have to sit over here. They made me see a older woman in a wheelchair leave the clinic or the mental ward, because it was like the holding section. It wasn't the actual building, the pavilion yet. And I was at the Delaware Medical Center, but they were taking over. Their minds were taking over as well. So they made her. They made me see her leave, and then next thing you know, she showed up again. So I was like, didn't this lady just leave? So why is she still here? And the lady kept crying. She wanted to use the bathroom. She wanted to use the bathroom. I was standing in the eyes of the camera. They kept saying, the FBI is going to come get you out. I'm getting my people. I have people in the FBI to come get you out, because I was going through the worst time in my life. I never got arrested. That was 2 weeks prior. And now I'm in the crazy ward. And I know I'm hearing spirits, you know, leading me. And they're telling me that lady knows you. I already spoke to her. She knows your name. You're gonna be world famous. I'm like, I don't want to be world famous. And yeah, I'm like, I don't want to be world famous. And they put in my head like it's a good thing, and I'm just like, they're like, oh, you took that. Oh, you want to be world famous. But it may seem as if it's pride. I can't explain it. And I was like, no, I don't want to be that, because I'm a very humble person. But they made it seem like, okay, they were still God, and then I was still fighting spirits around me, or he's fighting spirits around me, and so I remember standing in the camera. He said, I have my people in the FBI. They're gonna get you out. They said your dad showed up, as in your earthly dad, Jacob. He's out there with your what was I say? I don't remember. He's coming to get you. So I kept telling them, my dad's out there. My dad's out there. They kept telling me that he's out there in my head, but I kept saying, my dad's out there. My dad's out there, but he was never out there. And they put in my head, say, you're underage, so they could leave you alone because you're not supposed to be in here. I even told them I was underage because I'm already in distress. I asked them for normal saline. They didn't give it to me. I was dehydrated. I hadn't eaten. I'm going through things I don't understand. I'm hearing demons. I don't want to fall asleep there. I'm hearing growling. I'm hearing people passing gas. And I'm seeing a lady saying, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. Why am I still here? I have to go to work. I have to go to work. And then you could tell the whole hospital was filled with mental people, but not. As in they put in my head that this is where they bring Christians to die. They said there was COVID again. I saw a lot of black people with green scrubs. I was one. Back to the wheelchair lady. She kept screaming, saying she has to use the bathroom. She has to use the bathroom. As I was standing in the camera waiting for the FBI to rush in and get me, because they kept saying, my people are here. They're watching you through the camera. They were basically trying to move around and make me seem crazy. And the lady was crying at this point. She needs to use the bathroom. The nurse wasn't listening to her. So I just unbuckled her belt. They had her like locked into a chair. And the lady started yelling at me as if she wanted to hit me. I'm like, well, she's been asking for the bathroom this entire time. You haven't helped her. So I just told her, just get up and go use the bathroom, because the lady can walk, but they had her in a wheelchair at that time. They locked her. They locked her in. I kept hearing the walls bang. They were saying that's where they take people in to beat them up, to kill them. Yeah. So of course I'm trying to get out of there because I didn't want to die in there. So then I just went. They said walk close to the door. The nurse is going to help you get out. Next thing you know, the nurse would act friendly, and she'll be like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, I'm trying to get out. And my mind already said, I spoke to her. She was going to help you get out. They were talking to me the entire time. So now I ended up going. She told me go next to my cube area where my bed is. So I went to go stand there. When I went to stand there, she told me get inside. I just said no, I'm standing right here. Next thing you know, 2 or 3 security men came in there with injections. She said, she told me, you're gonna get that shot. I'm gonna give you the shot. She was getting very agitated. And I was just standing there. Next thing you know, I wasn't being aggressive or anything. She came, not her, but the 3 men, I think it was 2 or 3 men, they pushed me down. They pulled my pants down and they gave me a shot in my thigh, and that knocked me out. And when I woke up the next day, I saw a bunch of people there. I guess they were interns. I saw a lot of people there, but they put in my head that they were FBI agents doing a case, and they were undercover. And as they did that, I said, okay, I don't know what's going on. And they were asking me all kinds of questions in my mind, saying this is how we ask questions now, saying the bed has some kind of device that they can do certain things. They just switch so much things, but they know how to manipulate your mind. So when they know how to manipulate your mind, they know how to take over your mind, so you believe it. So I was like, okay, they're asking me questions through my mind, saying, are you going to tell on this person? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do this? There's so many questions. And they said, we're going to take you out. When they took me out, they took me to the mental hospital to put me in there. They left. So I left Delaware Medical Center, the first place they put you, and they put me in the, I always forget that place, the name of that place. I went there. It's in the same vicinity. They will you over to the next place. And when I got there was plenty of people there, black, they were white. When I got there, I asked Ray to bring me a Bible and change of clothes. I asked for the phone. They were being rude. They'll turn off the phone on people. Like literally, they have a switch on their side to turn off the phone, and I would get upset. But I wasn't rude. But I would say, if you don't turn on the phone right now, I'm going to sue you when I leave here, because they're not allowed to turn off the phone at those times. But they were already mentally manipulated by spirits, and they were already telling me that they are witches, and that witches work at hospitals because they steal your blood. When they steal your blood, they do sorcery with it. They do satanic rituals with it. So they had already taken so much of my blood prior, and they were going around taking blood. They took blood, I think, twice, and they tried to take a blood third time. I chose not to, because one of the girls who were there started yelling at them, saying, "I'm not doing this again. You're not taking my blood again." So when she spoke up, I said, "I'm speaking up. You're not going to take my blood either. I'm over it." When he brought me the Bible, I stood next to the desk. There was a nurse who was kind to me, and he was giving me water, and he wasn't rude to me. But when I had the Bible, he pushed my Bible away. Like I just had my Bible open. He pushed it away. After that, I'm like, okay, that man has spirit. Like he has demons in him. At the time, I was saying demons. I didn't eat at all. They said don't eat the food, because if you eat the food, they put drugs in it. Don't eat the food. I went 3 days without eating. Mind you, I was already not eating prior. I was already not eating prior to that. So I went 3 days again, not eating at all. I was so weak. I was just drinking water. I did not want to eat the food at all because I was fearful that they put drugs in the food. So finally, my 72 hours were up. They told me, they let me go. They gave me my folder, and they let me out by myself, which that's how you know the demons were playing their game. And when they let me out, I was looking. They told me my husband was outside. Actually, I was trying to get out prior. They wouldn't let me. Oh, the doctor kept saying, "Oh, you have to stay." They're trying to admit me to stay longer. I'm like, I'm not staying here, because I never opened my mouth and said I was hearing any voices. I never said I was seeing demons. I never said any of that. Besides the cop I told that to, that the kids were in the house that had demons. I didn't say that to them at all when I was there. I said, I'm fine. I'm ready to go. He said no. They were like adamantly trying to keep me there. I said no, nope. I spoke to 2 doctors. I said no. And then finally, the nurse, they told me to sign a paper to take Medicare, and in my head it kept saying, "This is how they do fraud, so don't sign it." I chose not to. They told me to sign papers to make myself voluntary so I could stay. I said no. They forced somebody else to take medication, saying, "If you don't take this medication, you can't leave." So it's not them. The spirits took over their mind, but they made them take the medication. I said, "I'm not taking that medication." While I was there was a guy there. He was saying, "They let you bring a Bible in here?" I said, "Yeah." I asked my husband, "Why don't you ask your wife?" He said, "I can't, because when I spoke to my wife, she's still upset at me. They're trying to make her say that I'm crazy, and the only thing that happened is we got into an argument, and I miss my daughter so much. And another woman was saying, "Oh wow, they let you get a Bible in here." And then was a young lady. Before I left. This is while I was there. The Bible thing upset the nurse, and like I said, I didn't do anything to him. I just said, "Do not touch me." I said, "Do not touch my Bible." And then I went to go stand by my door. They were attacking me, and I was very calm. And then I saw a couple men come in there, and they held me down and gave me shots again. But this time I felt the shot leave my body. And then he was saying, the voice was saying, "You see, I pulled it out of their body." You know they manipulate people. Then I got up and I went out the room, because they were looking at me like she should have been knocked out with that shot. And I stood there and I showed them, because I thought I am under God's grace. I'm under Yahweh's grace, but I thought the spirit was talking to me was God. And I stood there and I'm like, "Yeah, you guys tried to kill me." I didn't say it, but I was showing them, like, you tried to kill me with that shot, tried to harm me with that shot. I'm still awake. I haven't passed out. So then I saw maybe 10 men walk out of the next room, and one of them was a handicapped man. He was handicapped. I remember seeing his face from, I don't know if it was middle school, high school, but I was like, how is he a security guard? That's how they know how to put images in your eyes, like you seeing an entire person. It's not a spirit, but they know how to put an image in your eye. And then I'm sorry, I'm dealing with them still attacking me. But Yahweh's with me. He is God. He is the one and true God. There's no other gods, okay? And that, I promise you, 1,000,000,000% to infinity. Okay, so I saw about 10 men leave the room next to me, and the lady was in there screaming, 10 security officers screaming, and she came out and she said, you guys tried to give me a shot because somebody else wouldn't take her effing shot. She was talking about me. I don't know. And I'm like, look at my. So they basically told her they're giving her the shot because I wouldn't take the shot. That's what they told her. So she was upset and she said, I want paperwork, I want proof. And I said, I want paper and proof too. And she got upset at me for talking because she was they put in her mind to be upset at me because I didn't take my shot, so she had to take the shot for me. That's how you know her mind was taken over as well. And then they didn't give her the paperwork, didn't give me the proof either. And then eventually, I think the next day or the hours later, I don't remember, I spent 3 days there. She came and sat at my table and she wrote Barbie down, and then she pushed it over as if she was trying to let me know that's her name, because everybody was trying to get out of there. There was young people there. There was another lady that was constantly on the phone trying to find a way out of there. There was a lot of young people there. A lot of young people there. There were a lot of black people there. There were a couple white people there. And yeah, especially the black people, they were young. They were in their 20s and 30s. And I'm looking around, and even the girl, I don't know if she was Hispanic or Arabic, but she was young. She was much younger than me. She had to be early 20s. The one that said, you're not taking any more blood from me. I'm not letting you take any more blood from me. So you could tell they were not crazy. There was only one man I could tell probably had some kind of mental issue, but everybody else seemed pretty normal to me. And they already put in my head, this is where they're hiding the Christians, as in, when you get there, they're going to kill you. So of course, everybody, if I'm going through it, I know they're going through it. So everybody's trying to find their way out of there. And then they put in my head, Moses, you're supposed to set your people free. But they put so many things in my head. It was, I can't explain it. But I just told them, yeah, ask your family member to bring a Bible in for you. And when it was time for me to go, the nurse said, do you have a ride? I have to walk you out. So she walked me out to the front. There was no one there. And then the receptionist, something told her in her mind, yeah, her husband's here. He's right out there. So then we walked, she let me walk out. She had an attitude, the nurse. She had an attitude. But like I said, it wasn't her. I walked out. I'm looking, where is he? Where is he? There's no one here. So I started walking. I didn't know what to do. I started walking. I was walking. It was hot. I had eaten, and at this point, you could say entire month. I was just drinking water. I didn't eat those 3 days I was there. I wasn't eating meat. I stopped eating meat. So when I did eat, I ate one meal. I literally ate one meal that month. It was some pasta. I didn't even finish it. Ray made pasta. It was good, but I didn't finish it. When I was able to eat from 6 to 6, something would put in my head to just juice. I'll drink beets and carrots, just juice. So I was walking in the hot sun, and I was like, how am I going to make it? I feel like I'm going to pass out and die. And I went the wrong way. I'm like, I don't have the energy. This is the wrong way. Let me go back the other way. I started driving. I saw the nurse. Not driving, walking. I saw the nurse. And I was like, okay, I'm out. But in my head, he was a witch. But I was like, I'm out. I didn't say it to him, but I kept walking. And I kept walking. I walked. I ended up at a gas station, and I asked them for a phone to call my sister. My sister was like, I was already on my way. I'm close. They told me she had called. She actually called a lawyer. They got in her head through Ray to call a lawyer to get me out. But I was like, why would you get a lawyer to get me out? Because 72 hours to let you out anyways. So they took $8,000 from her. Literally. $8,000 she put on her credit card for me. And she picked me up. And me and my sister are like this. So over the last year, we haven't seen each other much. We try to see each other here and there for a few minutes. And every time we see each other, it's always like this, because they already put in her head that we have to be like this, and my head at some points. She drove me home, I think, or to Winnie's house, and that's when they basically kept me at Winnie's house. When they kept me at Winnie's house, I did not Ray, that was Ray's first time having Braden for 3 days. He was doing a good job. He was taking care of him, taking him to the park. I was like, okay, that's good. And I didn't know what to do. I was at Winnie's house. When I was there, they played so much games with my entire family. They played a game with my nieces, with my nephew, with me, with my sister. They know how to play with you slightly. And then they told me I need to pray because my niece she has a spirit of Baphomet in her. And when I went in her room, she had like a star, but it looked upside down for real. And she had dried out roses, but I was like, this is witchcraft stuff. She had like a zodiac sign thing, and then I didn't want to pray. I didn't want to go in there. They said you have to go in there and take that stuff out. You have to go in there and take that stuff out. But it's like you think you're listening to God. I don't know if this is before or after the mental institute. So I'm like, I don't want to do this. They say your dad's gonna come here. It's gonna help you pray for her because she has a demonic Baphomet spirit on her. I'm like, oh man. And then Ray was there. He went missing. He was in Jacobson's room. They knew how to play a game. They knew how to control people's mind, play a game. They said he went home. I asked Jacobson, where is he? Or my sister, they said he's not here. I don't even remember. It was so much. So then that night, I'm like, okay, I have to. It was like 3 in the morning. I have to. Okay. So, okay, we spent a few days there. But this is right before, I'll go back. While I was laying on the bed with Ray and my sister was sleeping on the floor, I opened my eyes and I saw a white figure, a spirit of a male. He was bright white, and I heard a voice say, "Be still. He's guarding. You're safe." They're playing a game. And then when I closed my eyes, I also saw the figure going around the bed, like trying to get me. It was too much. Walking around the bed trying to get me, and I just said, I'm going back to sleep because my mind is like, what else can I do? And then that's when another night, another night is when I woke up at 3 in the morning. My niece was visiting from Canada, and she was spending the summer here. They already told me they're sending her here. I'm trying to remember. They made me hear my sister's voice and everything from Canada through my mind. One time while I was praying, it was just so much. They made me see like a vision of me flying as an angel. It was too much. They made me see a vision of me in lava, coming out of lava, saying I pulled you out of lava. They made me see so much things that I'm not used to. And so I went, that's why I believed all of that. So when I went to go pray for my niece, I told her, you have to throw all this stuff out. She got mad, like she was going to fight me. She called her mom, and her mom basically threw me out her room. Not like throw, but she told me, like, get out of her room. I bought this stuff for my kids. You need it. Like they took over their minds and my mind as well. They did all of this. And then I said, well, I'm going home. I've been wanting to go home anyways because they changed the locks. But when they changed the locks, they had like passcodes. So if I go out, it's like I'm locked in, because if I go out, I'm locked out. And they had my keys. Obviously, I went through arrest. I think this was after the mental institute. This is after. I went through arrest. I went through that. And the prayer was always playing. It made me think I have to pray that prayer to get some relief over and over again. And I was like, well, you might as well drop me and my husband and my son home. And my sister was like, no, they're staying here. So in my head, to put it as if she's being controlling over him and Braden, like as if she's controlling them. And I'm like, no, I'm staying here. No, I said, they're not staying here. We're going home. I need you to stay out of this between me and my husband and my child. And I started getting upset. And she said, let's go now. Ray's staying there with Braden, and she dropped me off to my parents' house. I was like, okay, I don't know what else. And I called my sister Neftali, take me home. I got upset because I felt like my sister was stepping in to something that was not for her. But it wasn't her, it wasn't me, it wasn't anyone. We were just getting manipulated by spirits badly. So then when I went home, so this is before the arrest. I'm going back and forth because there's so much. When I went home, not before the arrest, after the arrest, but before the mental suit or around there, I don't remember. Institution, I don't remember. But when I went home, I remember telling my dad, my earthly dad, Jacob, my stuff is at Winnie's house. I need to go get them. And then he said, okay, we'll go get them. I'm trying to think. Oh, that's before I went to that's before the mental institution. So when we went back to the house, my nephew, who I was always close to, and since then I haven't been able to talk to him either. They pulled everybody who I was close to away from me. Since then, he came on to me as if he's gonna hit me, and then I saw him get pushed back, and I didn't touch him. No one touched him. He got pushed back, and his back hit the TV. He was yelling at me and wanting to come on to me as if he was gonna hit me, telling me to get out of his effing house and cursing me out. And my dad was there, and he was just yelling at me and going off. And I'm like, just give me my husband's stuff. He had my husband's swimsuit in his hand, and in my head they already put that the woman he was with was doing voodoo on him. They put that badly in my head, and anything I touched that had my hands were shocked. So it's not like I was just hearing this stuff, I was feeling it. My hands were shocked, my body would go limp. My sister was experiencing it too, so of course he would believe it, not understanding. So then I'm like, give him my husband's pants right now. Like, I was ready to, I was tough. So I was like, give him my husband's pants right now. And because I didn't want him doing anything to it, my mind had put it, he was going to use it and put it on the altar. They kept saying altar. There's an altar here, there's an altar here, there's an altar. Everyone had an altar. And so that's when he was coming on to me, and then the force pushed him back. And my earthly dad saw it. I was like, okay, now they see it. When I got back in the car, my sister was saying, yeah, he was heating up, my earthly dad said he was heating up hot water to throw on me when he got there. And he already knew somehow. I think they already put it in his head, because he said that Jefferson told him that he was heating up hot water to throw on me. And I was like, okay, well, I'm never going over there. And fast forward, after the mental institution, if Ty started telling me, you need to read that book by Rebecca Brown that I've been telling you to read, because that book is supposed to help you. They get put in my mind that book is supposed to help you, that book is supposed to help you. And I was like, I can't read it. My mind was just clouded. So I kept trying to read. Every time I tried to read it, I would hear demons loudly. They start hitting me, slapping me across my body. I would see them in the house, and it was bad. I kept trying to read it. My mind kept hurting. I'm like, I can't read it. And it would make it seem like every time you read a certain word in that book, some sort of demon would leave, some sort of demon would leave, some sort of demon would leave. Every time you read a certain thing in that book, I kept trying to read it. I could not read it. I said, I'm going to skip through this and read the Bible verses. I tried, and that didn't work. Excuse me, I'm sorry. That didn't work. And I'm dealing with something. They know how to do that to you. And then that didn't work, so I kept trying to read it. It took a long time. I read it. It helped me. And then Nisi was saying she was dealing with certain things. She could hear the voices say, don't say voices, say thoughts. And I'm like, those are voices. And then when I found something in the book, I gave it to them. They said, why would you help them? You're not supposed to help each other, or something. Or they're telling me, yeah, we're not supposed to help each other. But I was to help them. And I'll say, you guys have to help me, because I don't know, but these voices, they're attacking me. These spirits, these demons are attacking me. They would ignore me. They said, no, you have to do it on your own. And then I would be the one that say, nope, here's information I found that's supposed to help. Here's information I found that's supposed to help. And then I would say my heart would get pulled on badly. And I would tell my sister that. She said, this, I didn't feel like that. And then she would call me. She's like, the thing you told me about happened to me. I was at work, and my heart started, somebody was like, hold up to my heart. It was burning too. And then they would tell me I have to curse. I was hearing it. I have to curse out my husband. If I don't curse out my husband, my heart's gonna get pulled on, like F you and stuff like that. And I said, I'm not saying that. So my heart would be hurting. And they would curse. They said, if you want me to stop, you have to. They're demons. If you want me to stop, you have to curse. And I would ignore the cursing. They said curse. And eventually they just left me alone, because I wouldn't curse. But they totally took over my husband. He dealt with so much more than I knew. I didn't understand. So he would start cursing at me. So that pulled us apart. I didn't understand that they were making him. I knew, but I didn't understand that they were making him curse at me as well. cursed at me, saying things that he never. First of all, he's never cursed at me. He's never used a bad language prior to that. To me, he's never done that ever. And then it pulled us. It made us. It pulled us apart. And then it put in my mind that you're going to die by fall. You're not going to see winter, because there's something happening where people are going to the army and to go to fight. We're going to need soldiers, and they're picking people. They put so much stories, people from each family, and then they also put in my mind that they put in my mind that if you don't finish that book by a certain time, that your body's going to be taken over, and when your body's taken over, you're not gonna be in control of your body, and you're going to be the one to kill your children. And I even was reading that book with my husband on through video, and he would say, let's finish the book together, and then he wouldn't want to sometimes, and then I wouldn't want to sometimes. That book didn't do anything. It was just a game they played. It was just a regular book by a Christian doctor. And then once that book was done, my sister said, there's another book, a third book, a second book, and a third book. I don't remember. A second book I know for a fact. I'm like, I'm not reading that. I don't need that. And then I said, I'm just gonna wait on Jesus to save me. It put in my head so bad. And then I used to watch all these testimonies of a woman saying, yeah, she saw Jesus, and Jesus helped her from where she was. She was in Europe somewhere. She grew up in a town where they did a lot of witchcraft, and she never heard of Jesus. She never heard of Christianity. So then when she was going through her rape and certain things, witchcraft and all this other stuff, the spirits helped her. The first spirit that bothered her was the spirit of, I forgot what it's called. Something, Rose. I don't know. I don't remember what that spirit was. It made her do things with her period. It was bad. And then that's when Jesus' spirit came and saved her. All this craziness. So all those testimonies made us believe in Jesus. All those false testimonies, false miracles, all those things. So now I was like, I'm just going to wait on that, because I've been reading those books and nothing helped me. And when I said nothing helped me, I was there for months. I couldn't work. Oh, they made me quit my job prior to that, saying, when they were pretending to be God back in June, saying June 24th of last year, June 27th of 2024, saying you have to quit your job right now. And I'm like, if I don't want to quit my job, and it said, if you don't quit your job right now, they just kept putting it in my head. I said, if you really want me to quit my job, you have to get me fired. And then they kept acting as God at the time. So I was like, you know what? I need to be obedient, and I quit my job. When I quit my job, within the second of quitting my job, I wrote email to them, let them know that I'm a prophet and God is leading me, and I wrote it in certain colors for my then boss Charmaine, and saying God's watching over you. They knew her information in a way. Yeah, I put it in this color, she'll know. And then I sent it to LaRonda. They put it in my mind. I sent it to. It was me talking about my sinful acts throughout life, and the spirits that are connected to the sinful acts, that it's not us, and I have to quit my job, I'm a prophet, all this stuff, going back to the lady that her name is Naya Rose, I don't remember, Naya, I don't not remember, but when I said told myself I'm just gonna wait on Jesus to save me, they started playing this game with this Jesus pop game with me. And every time I would hear a demonic voice, it would just pop away. And he was like, yeah, I'm healing you. Just all these lies. And then I'm like, how long does this take? Because at this point, I've been going through this healing process for so long. And it was just Satan. They're all Jesus spirits. They're Satan playing a game with me. I would hear the thunder. I couldn't sleep. I would see them in the house. They would hit me. They would lay on top of me. They were spiritually raping me. It was disgusting. They were evil, 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 evil. And I was going through a lot. When I was talking to I talked to Naftali and Ray about it, they just got quiet. Ray wouldn't talk to me about it. I felt like, okay, why are you ignoring me? So they just put so much stuff in my head, and I didn't understand he was going through his own, but he was quiet about it. So I used to get mad at him. That pulled us apart even more. Let me see. I didn't understand my son was going through his own issues. My daughter was going through her own issues. I remember we were having a dream where they showed me that she died in my arms. And in that dream they said a word, and they said kill the Kaibal. When I woke up and I looked at the word Kaibal, it means kill the rival. And they were talking about me, but my daughter had died, and when I woke up they said you have to pray for her. But it's like when they said it, they put it in my mind. That's prior to them talking to me out loud. That was the year prior, like 2023. They put it in my mind without me understanding that I have to pray for her. And I was feeling dark entities in the house. It was a lot. So going back to waiting on Jesus, we call him J name because I hate that name, to save me. They just kept playing a game with me over and over again, making me get up and pray. I would get up and pray like 10 times a night, literally. Get up and pray, get up and pray, get up and pray. They're trying to keep me up from keep me up. They're basically making me weak. Get up and pray, get up and pray, get up and pray, get up and pray. I would go to sleep with those prayers. I would hear thunder outside. They would show me rainbows saying that's for you. They would show me lightning saying that's for you. They were just doing so much. They were doing so much. Okay, so going forward, that was the first time I went to Institute. They're playing with my accounts, taking money out of my account, and acting like there was others doing it. I would go to the Bank of America, the app would stop working. Like the app would be there, but the portion of the app that I'm used to would just disappear. And I say, look, they said that never happened. I've never had that portion. I've never seen that. It was it was like a plan summary thing where it tells you how much you spent. So when Carnival refunded me $300 and they took it. Refunded me $300 and then they took it because, as I said, when I went on the trip, neither one of my kids went because Maddie stayed. Her dad wouldn't let me have her, and then Braden stayed with my sister. That's okay. So I'm trying to think. Later on, things started getting calmer. Before that, when I was reprobated, I went to my sister. She'll say, I have to pray for you. So they'll tell me, don't play that prayer. Don't let her play that prayer. So then I would choose not to. Then I would choose to. Then I would choose not to. Then they'll say, drive to Miami. Then they'll say, I didn't want to drive to Miami anymore. I'm like, I don't trust that. I already went to jail. I already went to the mental institution. I didn't trust that. It was just so many voices. When I got to the point where my mind was so scrambled, like I felt like my eyes were cross-eyed. That's how bad it was. And I felt something hover over me, like you could say an alien droid, but there's no such thing as aliens. So it was technology. And the next thing you know, my mind became unscrambled. My mind became unscrambled, but I was still hearing the voices. But when I heard those voices, they were calmer now. Now they're trying to be nice, acting like God, saying Jesus and no. And I went back to work, and I chose to work 3 days. And then they made me get on food stamp. They made me, they made me sleep with my husband so I can get pregnant. That was like August. Yeah, I didn't know to get pregnant, but it was just, they put in my mind, Old Testament, you're not supposed to. In the Old Testament, a man lies with a woman, he doesn't spill his seed, because that's what they put in the Old Testament. Because if he spills his seed, it's a sin. So that's how they got me pregnant with my daughter Sarah. And that was, we slept together like 3 times, and then after that I didn't, because they would talk in my ear, and I just didn't understand, like, why would you even do that? Because they were being God. But I'm like, that's off. So I decided, ever since then I said I'm not sleeping with him, and I just chose not to since then. So that was November, was the last time, November of 2024. I'm in 2025, July 31st now. That's how bad they traumatized me. And when I was speaking to them, one of them finally, he acted as if he had a million voices, and he could speak several times at once to me. So when I used to say, I just want to hear one voice because it was so loud, it was too much, just one voice. So he'll wake me up in the middle of the night just to talk, to say, yeah, I was watching with my other kids. They were in the snowy app being bad. I was away, and I came back, and I couldn't do it, the sexual morality. So this is why, just acting as if they were God. And then, let me see. I forgot what I was going to say. I'm dealing with one right now that likes to take my memory. Really? And then, oh yeah, the voices. One spoke to me saying, my actual name is Yahweh. However, the people in the world know me as Jesus. I let it be that way because they don't know. But the Romans are the ones that killed me, not the Jews. The Romans are the ones that killed me, not the Jews. I said, oh wow. He's like, are you shocked? Because prior to that, when I was praying, they said Yahweh, but they said Yah, mother effing way. And I was like, sometimes I just say whatever. I'm like, oh, Jehovah, Yahweh, Jesus is all the same. They put it in my head. And I just said it. Mind you, I had already found God's name prior, and I already knew Jesus was not God's name. But they already took my head over. So then he said, I already gave you my name. When I said that, he got mad at me. He was ready to say, kill yourself. He kept telling me, kill myself. It was mean. It was so mean. He kept saying, kill yourself. He's like, I gave you my name. He was being rude. And then I even went to sleep, and I saw like a big monster eat me up. And then, like, when I heard the name Jesus, when I said the name Jesus, well, I wasn't doing it. They were doing it themselves, but they were doing it as me. And when the name Yahweh came out, that's when the monster spit me out. And that's before. That's the first time. The second time and the third time, I'll tell you. That's the one that when he actually spoke to me calmly. And he would say, you need to speak to your mom to, like, get past history. You speak to your sister, Willa, to get past history. We both had dreams of, like, I had a dream where I have a black and yellow bin here, and in there it was like Catholic candles and stuff like that. So they were basically saying that I put away my Catholicism, but it was in storage. I was never Catholic, but my grandmother was for a while. And I'm Yehudim, but I didn't know. We thought Christianity was good, but Catholic and Christianity is the same thing. So when he told me that, I was like, wow, I'm shocked. I felt hurt because I'm like, of course you're God, so why would you want somebody calling you a different name? So I wanted to fix it. So I started doing research to find his name, and he'll say, I'm not giving you any information, you just have to find it yourself. I'm like, why not? You have the information. So I would do research online, and I'll make printouts. When I make printouts, I would have to go to, I went to Walmart, I went to Ross, I went to Walmart, over there, Walmart over here, Publix, and I would talk to people, and they would make me have anxiety, but I thought it was me. And I'll speak fast, and I'll tell people his name. And he would say, don't put Ray in my business. He would say, don't put Ray in my business because he's going to get upset, especially since you just got arrested. And I would be back here in the middle of the night printing and printing and printing. I'll wake up printing. I was pregnant. I'll wake up printing. I'll wake up stapling. I bought one printer. It didn't work. After a while, well, within a week, that's much print. I bought a bunch of printer paper. I was staple. I was also working on my daughter's. I got my daughter back. She was gone for about a month and a half. From July, I got her to July 2nd to August. School had already started. So August 13th, August. Sorry. August 11th, 12th, or 13th. I'm not too sure. And when I'm sure you can see some spirits in the video because they're moving around me, they're attacking me. I'm sure you see one just hit me here. That's a white spirit, but it's a human spirit. They're this small, but they can be taller, but they're like the size of a tape measurement. Oh yeah. After that, um, after that, I'm thinking. I'm sorry because I get attacked spiritually, but my dad's here. Yahweh is here. He's always with me. Okay, so I'm okay. And I get attacked physically when they put the injection in me, but I'm okay. So I would go around. I'll talk to pastors. I'll talk to black people, white people, whoever. I'll talk to anyone who was not Catholic. I tried to talk to a Catholic person, but I'm like, it's hard to explain because they believe in idol worship. As in, not idol worship, obviously Jesus is the idol, because I at this point I know Jesus is fake. In my head, I'm talking to Yahweh at the time. So I'm like, how do I explain to them that it's only one God? Because Catholics believe in 3 entities. So I'm like, okay, let me just stay away from them. And I spoke to everyone, but people I spoke to, some would take it, some people wouldn't. Some people would say, yeah, I know the name Yahweh. And then the Spirit started saying, I don't want you to give my name out anymore. I'm like, why wouldn't you? I was pushing. I said, I want to. And I kept doing it, and he would get mad. He's like, I don't want you to give my name out because you make me sad when you give my name out because they don't want to take my name. Like, one second he's like, yeah, they took your name. They took my name. Next second he said, they didn't take it. They didn't believe it. So they would go back with another spirit and attack the person. I didn't know at the time. And attack the person for knowing his name, for knowing Yahweh's name, for accepting his name. So at the end, this is at the time, I didn't know at the time, but before I knew, I was doing it out of the goodness of my heart because I'm like, that's our creator, that's our father. I didn't know that was my actual dad. I just knew that's our creator, that's my father. So of course, you know, he's the one that created us. Of course, I need to put his name out there. And when I tried, he would get upset. He started getting upset to the point where I was getting physical pain. He would say, go to your sister, help her out. And next thing you know, I'm helping. He was like, rush, let's go back together. I'm like, I'm not getting out. He would pull on my rib. And I'm like, you sent me here to come help her with a car payment, and now you're rushing me. And then Maddie came and speak to me, saying, can she wait a little bit? They rolled my eyes, like, without me doing it. And I got up, I'm like, why would you roll my eyes? I'm not teaching my daughter that. My daughter said, Mom, you always tell me not to roll my eyes, and you rolled your eyes at me. And I got upset at, not my daughter, but the spirit. And I'm like, why would you roll my eyes? Because I'm not teaching my daughter that. That's not right. And they were being evil. They were being evil, acting like it was Yahweh. And I just went through a lot. Every time I said pray on somebody or pray with somebody, I got to the point where I just didn't want to talk about his name anymore. But they would push me to talk about his name or pray as his name, and then I would get like in trouble for doing it. So I got to the point where I did it. And then I was pregnant. I started working harder on my custody battle because I had, like I said, because of the arrest. My daughter was at Jeff's house, and Jeff wouldn't give her back at all, and he wouldn't let me see her and let me talk to her. So then I was spending all night, hours writing papers. I wrote about 7 or 8 papers. Some of them were like 10, 11 pages of things that I've gone through with my daughter, and I've had to take care of her, and just so much. I had to go see a psychiatrist. They actually trained me how to speak when I say a psychiatrist, so they don't think I'm crazy. It was a lot. There was, let me see, I spent so much nights, and then I kept saying I don't like this because I know I'm pregnant, but my memory I kept forgetting I was pregnant. And my memory, I kept forgetting I'm pregnant. I was touching my stomach, and I was like, whew, I feel like I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do because I know I'm pregnant. I'm not even like enjoying my pregnancy. And then I said, I'm going to plan a birthday party for my daughter. I'm going to plan a baby shower for my other daughter. Her name was Sarah. And then I would stay up in the middle of the night. I didn't sleep at all. I would stay up in the middle of the night if I'm not printing, I'm doing invitations I'm doing pregnancy announcements, marriage announcement, uh, birthday invitation on Canva, and then texting, letting people know God's name is Yahweh, sending them proof. Some people say, I need more proof, I need more proof, I need more proof. I was doing all the research for them, just for them to go attack those people. I didn't know they were attacking those people. I really didn't. And I was not getting any sleep. I was working 3 days a week, and then I felt like he kept saying, I wanted you to work less, but at the same time I was working more, but in counter reverse, because he was mean. It's not Yahweh, obviously it's not God. It wasn't him, it was them playing a game, and then saying, people usually write a review about me because of my personality. I went online one time, I started seeing this say Yahweh is Satan. I'm like, whoa, that's evil to say. And he already said he's God, and then I looked online, there's proof, his name is Yahweh. I see the proof, so I'm like, okay, even though he's mean, his name is Yahweh, he's God. But I'm not writing a review, that's wrong. I'm not writing a review. It's like he was leading me to write a review. I'm like, I'm not doing that, I won't do that. And he kept bringing up, you're not gonna write a review now? As in, like, I'm trying to see if I can trust you, playing a mind game. And I'm like, I don't care to write a review. Like, he'll say mean stuff, and then they started doing perverted stuff. It was disgusting. They started taking over my mind, as in I was angry, but I felt I couldn't fight. I just let it be. I cursed them out sometimes because I couldn't do it. They were already cursing me out, calling me disgusting words. They were giving me disgusting dreams. They know how to do certain things to your private area that's pissing you off. And I kept telling you, and they kept saying, oh, it's a test, it's a test. So what kind of test is that? Because they're saying, oh, the last woman I spoke to, she fell for me. And they were talking about Celestial. She fell for me. I was like, that's weird. Why would you fall for your God? That's disgusting. And I'm like, anyways, I have a husband. That's disgusting. And I'm like, can you stop this test? Because they wouldn't leave me alone. I asked them to leave me alone a few times, but I did it nicely. And they wouldn't leave me alone. Then I started getting upset. They wouldn't leave me alone. They would not leave you alone. They were not. They're so adamant about bothering you. They were not to this day. Some of them haven't left me alone. But Yahweh's here. He's been the one beating them up. I dealt with so much. I'm just happy. So what happened after that? One is trying to do it right now. Her name is Kimberly. She's disgusting. She's one of the most vile ones I've come across. Yeah, so let me see. So after they did all of that, they pulled me out of school because I got into the nursing program in Kaiser, because the year 2024 I did 5 classes to finish my prereqs from January to April 30th. I did 5 classes, and then I was supposed to start the program in September, and a friend of mine even gave me uniforms that she got from there, and I ended up giving it to another friend of mine because I already knew I couldn't start because of that arrest. I knew I had to take that off my record. And then that mental hospital, they did all that just to ruin my life. So I spoke to the advisor, and she was so kind. She just kept pushing it back to me. She said, okay, we'll put you in January or May. I spoke to her several times. She was very kind. She is very kind. And when January came of 2021, I was pregnant. So I'm like, I might as well go to Palm Beach State because I can't afford. I was working less hours. I already had a school loan at that point. I'm like, I might as well just go to Palm Beach State, because in my heart I wanted to go to school badly. I wanted to finish, because throughout my adulthood I always would start classes and then I would take one at a time, because I was working like 40 hours, 50 hours a week. I worked a lot because I wanted a good life, but I worked for that life. I'm not somebody who likes to steal. And I'm dealing with Illuminati and Yo Mama, and they're big thieves. Big thieves. They don't not only steal money and gold, they steal lives and spirits. So that's who's attacking me. So when I was in January, I said, I'm going back to school. The spirit kept saying, don't go back to school. It kept pushing me not to go back to school. But then it was like, okay, I was trying to help you a certain way. So now I called Palm Beach State, see how much it is, See the part-time program. Oh, it worked out better for me. See, he was like, you see, I was working for you a certain way, playing, pretending to be God. So then I went back to Pompey State. I ended up taking courses that Kaiser didn't need, and then I was taking 2 classes. Sorry. I was taking 2 classes. I was taking chemistry online, and I was taking American history in campus in Boca Raton. So the chemistry online, I couldn't focus. They were talking in my head, talking all day, all night. They'll wake me up. I would sleep for 3 hours. I would sleep for 4 hours. They'll wake me up just to talk, constantly talking, constantly. I'm like, I just need a break so I can focus. I'm writing several papers still, because my custody battle. I'm trying to keep up with court. I told him I was going to get a lawyer. He said, don't get a lawyer. You'll take care of it yourself. They may write all these papers. They said, drop it off in the box. They see people drop it off in the box. I'm saying Dave because at the time he was acting like he, but I found out it was millions of spirits, literally millions of people and spirits. So, and then that's when I found out that all those papers I wrote, all the proof I got, the doctor's note, the doctor's report, all those envelopes, I went to the courthouse too many times to count. I don't know how many times. All those pictures I printed out, all those text messages I printed out, organized on Canva. All those nights I spent up till 4 or 5 in the morning, didn't sleep. All of that went to waste because they made me drop it off to the judge, and I found out that the judge you're not supposed to send those to the judge ever. But they put in my mind saying, yeah, you're supposed to do it there. I even spoke to a clerk, and she said, yeah, put it in the box for the judge. And it is a mailbox for the judge, but it's not evidence for the court. Evidence for the court, you don't give it to the judge. You don't give it to the judge. So at that point, I said, I'm getting a lawyer. Prior to that, hold on, I'm thinking. Prior to that, they started saying, you're not getting Maddie. She's going to her dad. I was saying, you made me do all of this, saying that you're trying to fix something that you did prior, because they're the ones that got me arrested, acting as God, saying, we did that because you had 2 abortions, so that was your persecution on earth since you became a Christian now. And now I'm trying to fix it because I see you're a kind person. So, first of all, they're the ones that made me have the abortion. They know how to take over your mind to do that. Both abortions. They literally know how to take over your mind to do that. And second, I didn't know at the time. And second, they were acting as God, saying that's your persecution, because Haitians believe when you become a Christian and give your life over to God, you go through a persecution. And that persecution is from God. That's how they make it seem. That's how they put, they always put it like it's from God, and it's not true. And he was saying, yeah, I felt bad after I persecuted you, so I was trying to help you, but you're taking too long in this. The papers are so long, and every time I try to read a paragraph, this one will take me 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. I have to keep reading because they kept talking. I'm like, I just need to focus. I'm being nice. I just need to focus. They kept talking. I'm like, kept talking. And I was getting exhausted. I was so exhausted. But I was working. I wanted my daughter back. My daughter is my little best friend. I have so many best friends now. So many. But my daughter is my little best friend. So I was missing her. I was not used to being away from her, because for the first 5 years of her life, it was me and her until I moved in here. It was me and her. My sister wouldn't help me raise her, but it was me and her. Her dad didn't help me. And we got into a lot of arguments, so my heart was upset. I'm like, you have not been there for her. I used to beg you to be there for her. And now it's like you just took my daughter over one arrest. And I was trying to explain to him what happened. It was spiritual. But when he went to court, he tried to say I joined a cult. And basically his mind was taken over. I didn't know. And they was putting in his head that he's going to get child support off me. So much stuff. And then they kept saying, say F you, Yahweh, and I'll leave you alone. I'm like, why would I want to say that to God? I kept saying, I'm not saying that. even though they were mean and angry, so angry, so angry, so angry, acting like Yahweh. I was like, I'm not saying that, I'm not saying that, I'm not saying that. One time for Christmas, I was making, I made labels with Yahweh's name. I did all of this. So I'm like, I'm going to cook a Christmas dinner. I didn't understand that he wasn't born on Christmas. But I was cooking, and then he started getting mean out of nowhere. He would act nice one second, and it's so mean out of nowhere. Like mean, evil. And then I was cooking, started yelling like, "You're not doing this for me. You're not doing this for me. I hate this holiday. I was busy." It's just craziness. I was like, what kind of weird stuff is that? But I got so angry. I used to get so angry. And then the grease popped in my skin. He started laughing. It was different voices. And then I would cry. I was angry, but I was crying. He would curse me out. I got to the point where I would curse. And I would ask for forgiveness because I'm like, shoot. But it was me. It was them. But they kept saying, say F you, Yahweh, and we'll leave you alone. Or I'll leave you alone. Because that's what people do for me to leave them alone. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm not saying that. I just kept saying that because before that he kept saying, my name is Jesus. I'm like, no, you already told me your name is God. I mean, your name is Yahweh, and God's name is Yahweh, and I already researched it. God's name is definitely Yahweh. So I stuck to that. But he's like, oh, okay, you passed the test. You passed the test. Every time I was saying, of course, God's name is Yahweh. It was like, because people don't want to understand. So they eventually put it in my mind to say F you Yahweh when I was crying about my daughter. And it was so bad. They kept saying that when I was crying about my daughter. And while I was, okay, this is after. So in early February 11th, I went to a doctor's appointment. Okay, I had to see a specialist because I had to see a specialist sometimes twice a week. One time, I think twice in a day. I went to Boynton, I went to Boca, I went to Wellington and West Palm. Yeah. Delray also. Yeah. So my actual doctor was in Delray. There was one in Boynton. I ended up not going. That's what happened. I was supposed to do a blood test there. They were wanting me to do a lot of blood tests. Saying that Sarah's nose was too small. Saying that her kidneys were filled with fluid. Saying that her nuclear fold back there is too thick. Saying she may have Down syndrome. Telling me, as a test, you can go ahead and have an abortion. I said, I'm not doing that. I believe in God. Before, I didn't understand, and I did that. I'm not doing that. I said, oh, you're choosing not to. But they were saying it as in like, that's good. But it was like a test. I'm like, I'm not gonna do it. If I'm just gonna keep my baby. If she comes out with, they said she was gonna have Down syndrome. I'll just figure it out. I was scared. I'm not gonna lie, I was crying. But I'll figure it out. And it was like trying to push me to have an abortion, but they were acting like it was a test. And I was like, But when I would say no, it was like, oh, okay, you passed the test kind of situation. Because, God tests. So they doing it in their way, in their evil way. And then after when I went to my last appointment, before that, I kept touching my stomach. And it was like, she's moving. I'm like, I barely feel her moving. I barely have time. I was getting like hurt. I was hurting because I was saying, I'm spending so much time on Maddie. I need to focus on Sarah, because when I was pregnant with Maddie, I used to rub on my belly. I would write how many times she kicks, how many times she kicked. And with Braden's pregnancy, I felt as if I was robbed, and he was robbed as well, because I had two what's that? Baby showers. Ray wasn't there because they played in our mind so much that he didn't show up. So I ended up going to both baby showers by myself. But I didn't know how to play with the family to do things to us. So then with Braden, I felt like I was trying to I can understand, like, why don't I have that mother and son connection that when I had Maddie, I cried. With Braden, I didn't even cry. So I can understand. And I kept trying to say this, like, in my mind, what's going on? Why am I not feeling that? And then I also, like, felt through my pregnancy with him, I was depressed because I was scared, because I had this irrational fear that I'm going to go through the same thing I went through with Maddie's dad. Because right after I had Maddie, I found out he was having a 3-year affair on me, and then I had to leave, because it was either leave or be with a man that has 2 women. because he wasn't going to. That girl didn't want to leave, and he wasn't going to. So I ended up leaving and was living with Tally. That's how I ended up being a single mom. But that fear came, and then something kept telling me to abort him, abort him, abort him, abort him, abort him. I'm like, I don't want to do that. That was been the third time. Like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. In my mind, I kept testing Ray. I'm like, I'm going to go to make the appointment. I never did. I wanted him to fight. And he said, you're not aborting him. I'm going to keep him. So I'm like, okay, good. But we were fighting so much at that time. They kept making us fight every holiday. Every holiday. It was like his personality changed. I didn't have a good holiday, but I'll have great holidays in the future. But every holiday, they would play with his mind so bad. Every holiday. So then I was scared. And we were not living together at the time. I had just moved out my apartment and was renting a room from a friend who just got her apartment. And I was saying, okay, if we have this baby, we have to live together. But he wanted to, but something kept pushing him not to. I'm like, nope, we're going to live together. And so I moved in, and I wasn't taking Brayden to like do the things I used to do with Maddie. Like on every Saturday, I would take Maddie to go bird feeding, go to the park. So this pregnancy, I felt with Sarah, I was missing out on so much, and they kept taking it out my mind with their magic, with their spiritual power, that I was pregnant. I was like, oh shoot, I forgot I was pregnant, literally, and I had a belly. And I forgot I was pregnant. I didn't even get to enjoy it with my husband. I would be back here. They pulled apart by me working on the custody battle. Spending hours working on the custody battle, spending hours fixing my dad's name, not understanding they were not my dad. Spending hours trying to go back to school. That's how they pulled us apart. Besides the cursing and stuff, they just knew how to maneuver, and they basically made everybody in the house sad. They would say, he's so sad, you need to talk to him. And I was like, okay, can you stop talking so I can focus on them? Because the way they talk to you, you would have a phone in your hand and you're going around, you're looking for your phone's in your hand. And then I would keep like getting up to go get them ready. They would wake me up in the middle of the night to read the Bible and pray. I don't mind reading the Bible. I actually like reading the Bible, but the way they would do it, it was just so controlling. And then I would say, well, can you please stop speaking to me so I can speak to them? Because the more you speak to me, the more I can't focus. I can't speak to them. They would be so loud. And then I wouldn't, all I could do is hear them. And so when Sarah died, I went to the doctor. They checked her heartbeat, and the doctor came in there and told me that the night before, they already knew she died. They killed her. He was saying, yeah, they were making her move, but it was spirits in my stomach moving. Sorry, I'm sad about that. It was spirits in my stomach moving. And they said, did you feel her move the night before? Have you feel her move? I just said yes. Even though I didn't really feel her move, but I realized I was not really paying attention. And then I went in there, they checked it. The doctor came and said her heart stopped. So I was very sad. I was crying. That evil spirit and his friends said, well, he was speaking started laughing, said, I stopped her heart in the most meanest fashion. And I started crying. And I was telling him, leave me alone. I kept asking, leave me alone, leave me alone. They wouldn't leave me alone. I was in the office crying. And I didn't know what else to do. I just said, okay. I got in the car, started screaming, crying, driving home, screaming, crying. I was so upset. I just wanted him to leave me alone because I just wanted to cry in peace. And then when I went to bed, I just covered my head. I cried myself to sleep, and then he shocked me awake and said, I know you didn't just go to sleep on me as if like you did that on purpose to avoid me. And I'm like, well, can I cry? I just lost my baby. And they tried to say, I didn't kill her. They tried to take it back. I'm like, but you said it. And then they tried to send me to abortion clinic to take her out. I spoke to my sister. My sister said, just go to, they wanted me to spend money, I guess. My sister said, just go to the hospital. I'm going to come get you. That same day she took me, the clinic told me in 3 days to take her body out. She had already died. So my sister and my mom, I drove to my mom's house. I picked her up, and then my sister met me at St. Mary's. And when she met me at St. Mary's, that's when I just asked them to check again. I was hoping she was still alive. Yeah, just hope. And I was like, just check again. I just want a second opinion. And then yeah, they confirmed she was dead. And then they told me either a C-section or push her out. I said I'll take a C-section, but then they said they couldn't do a C-section because of something. When you have a C-section, they always recommend that you have a C-section because your uterus can rupture. That was my second C-section, so that should have been my third. They said, no, you're gonna push. It's better for you to push. They already took over the doctor's minds, but she was nice. They said it's better for you to push so you could have like a quicker recovery. So it was a VBAC. They said she couldn't do that. So I just said, okay, I don't know. My mind was out of it at that time. I was really sad. And then they gave me more. I asked them for an epidural. They said they did some tests. I shouldn't take the epidural. So then I asked them for morphine. There was other medications. There was like 3 different medications. They even gave me like a motion that something you tap to keep giving yourself medication over and over again. None of that medication worked. I felt every pain. I felt all of it. I felt the entire labor. Labor. And then I kept saying it doesn't work. They kept checking. The nurses kept coming back to check. My mom started playing Jesus music. They kept getting upset saying, you need to go turn that off. I said, oh, I'm not in the mood to do this. I'm literally in labor pains because they gave me Pitocin for contractions to push her body out. And I'm like, okay, I just put it down because I didn't want to be rude. When she went to the bathroom, I got up and put it down. They said, you need to get down and pray. I'm not getting down and pray right now. They used to make me get down and pray every night, 51, 51, 51, 51, 51, 51. And then they would do stuff to me. But they would act like the demons are around me. So I'm like, my mind was taking over. Yeah, so I hated getting down in prayer. But they would take over your mind. They know how to take over your mind, literally. So I'm like, I'm not getting down. I was in so much pain. I was in so much labor pain. The tap wasn't working. The nurses came. You said, how is this not working? I don't understand. I said, this should be working. And then they would start talking to me, and then they would get upset at me. I forgot what they were saying. And then I would feel the pain they were giving me. They kept moving the IV because the IV started bubbling up. They put one here, they put one here, they put in one somewhere here. The IV kept bubbling up. They kept giving. They know me personally, so they knew I hate shots. And then I felt like a weird pain, like the same rib thing they used to do to me. I felt it here, and I was like, okay, I could tell you're hurting me more. I just want to be left alone. But they wouldn't leave me alone, so and then they'll make you forget. So I'm like in pain, so I pushed, and I was pushing. When I finally pushed her out, I felt relieved. And then I got down and prayed, and I was thankful that I got through that. Then they moved me to the next room. They said, you don't have to see her. I said, no, I want to see her out. And they said, do not take a picture. I said, I'm taking a picture. I took a picture because that's my only picture of her. So I took a picture and sent it. I'm like, I'm keeping a picture. And when I took the picture, I put it in my phone. While I was in labor, I was doing homework because I really wanted to take care of my family. I wanted to be a nurse, take them on cruises, work 3 days, just so they could have a decent life. And so I was like, okay, even though I'm in labor, I'm in pain, I'm doing homework. I'm messaging my teachers, letting them know, look, I'm going through this. I just need patience. One teacher was saying, okay. The other teacher never got back to us. The students were complaining, so I'm not gonna waste my time with her, the chemistry teacher. I was trying to do as much work as I can. And then when I got home, I was trying to do my homework. I stayed in bed. Everybody said, you need to sleep. They were saying, okay, Sarah's gone. Now you need to focus on the one that you have. They weren't being rude about it, but they were saying, you don't want to lose Maddie. You need to focus on the one that you have. So I'll be up all night. While I was pregnant, I had the worst flu. And I couldn't take anything for it because I was pregnant. So she was gone. I couldn't sleep. I was still up here trying to meet deadlines, as in for my court papers. I was still trying to do homework. I couldn't sleep. They wouldn't let me sleep. They kept saying, focus on the one that you have. You have to keep her. You have to get her back. And then I was trying to meet school deadlines. And then I had 20 questions quiz. It was homework to do. I kept trying to think I think it was chemistry. I couldn't think. They were screaming. I was like, please give me a second. They'll keep talking, pull my mind, talking. I'm like, just please give me a moment, give me a moment, give me a moment. One question would take me 2 hours, literally, multiple choice. And it was due at 11:53. Once I hit 11:53, I'm not gonna lie, I got so mad I slammed the computer shut because I've been asking that demon that kept acting as Yahweh to leave me alone nicely so I can do my work. And then it started laughing because I missed my deadline. And at that point, I knew that class was done for because I don't miss deadlines when it comes to schoolwork. So I got so upset. They took over my body and made me slam the door and slam my head into the door. And I ran outside to go throw myself in the lake. And then something pulled me back. My mind pulled me back. I'm like, I'm not killing myself. And I dropped myself over there. Yeah, all throughout my life, they always put that thought for me to kill myself. I went back there and I laid in the grass. And then Ray came out and got me and put me back in the house. They are very controlling. Those demons are very controlling. They are all Jesus spirits. They call themselves Jesus spirits. They are evil. So then I was upset. So after I got upset, I remember sitting at my work computer and something just told me, look at the rates, because they kept saying that Sarah she had high drops. She could have been healed cured if they put a needle through my stomach. But when I went to the doctor, they told me that's going to kill her for sure. So let me work a miracle for you. That's what they told me. Let me work a miracle for you. Of course, if God tells you he's going to work a miracle for you, you believe it. Because you know God, he works miracles. But that wasn't God. And I said, okay, well, I don't mind. I was like, okay. At first I said, I don't want to take the shot. Okay, I'll listen. But then something kept telling me, just take the shot. In my heart, I just wanted to take the shot. Because they kept saying, I'm going to do it for you. I'm not. I'm going to do it for you. I'm not. I'm going to do it for you. I'm not. They kept going back and forth. It was so many personalities, so many spirits. But they were acting like one God. So then when she died, my heart kept saying, I should have just took that shot. I should have just took that shot. Because at one point, the doctors were saying, you should take the shot. And it was like a shot that goes into your belly, into the child. But there is a percent chance that they can die. And then I went to go look. The percentage was they would survive. 70 to 95% they would survive. So I got upset. I got so angry. I slammed everything off my desk, as in books, and I ran to the bathroom and started crying. I was crying because I knew I was played. I got played by them. And I heard him start calling me a B word and cursing my head quietly. And I kept trying to ignore it. I just said, I just want to cry in peace. I just want to cry in peace. I just want to cry in peace. Then they started saying it louder. They wanted me to get upset. And I started kicking. And they started saying, I'm just a messenger. I'm going to go tell him what you said. Because I started cursing them out. Because they started cursing me out so much. And I just wanted to cry in peace. And I started cursing them out. And then I started bringing up the stuff that they did to me, as in the spiritual touch. And I was saying, you're perverted, you're this, you're that. They wanted me to think that Yahweh is Satan. Literally. They wanted me to think that. Because they were using his name and they were doing the most evil things to me. They were even saying there's no such thing as Satan. That I am God and Satan together. And when you do bad, I have to test you to push you all the way away. So when I put you away, that I don't feel nothing for you. They even told me that out of my entire family, I'm the worst one. So that's why they're pulling me away from my family. So when they go to heaven, they don't have to miss me. And that I'm already marked for hell. And saying my line is done. And I'm like, well, I don't believe that. I'm still going to pray and teach my daughter. I'm just going back and forth. Teach my daughter to pray and worship God either way. And they even said she's a prophet. You're teaching her to be a prophet. They try to make me a prophet. It was so much back and forth, so much. They were talking bad about Ray. I do not like him. He's not good. And he's this, he's that. And saying he's not my something. Oh, he's Catholic. Text him and say to leave that Catholicism. And he would say, I'm not Catholic. Leave me alone. And I would tell his mom. His mom was saying, he's not. Where did he get that Catholic stuff from? Because he told me with his mouth. And it was so much. Anyways, going back to after Sarah died, they started messing with me more. I was like, okay, I stayed up, writing the papers to get Maddie back. I had the cold, so I said I might as well take NyQuil tonight finally. So I took a little bit. I'm like, why would I take NyQuil? I'm trying to stay up to write this paper. My eyes started getting blurry. They started like doing this fuzzy stuff, talking. I don't know what it was, and making me like can't do the work. And I'm like, I could tell you're doing this, but can you just stop? Like, I'm trying to explain because they're evil. They're evil. That was Kimberly trying to talk to me. They're evil, and that's the only way I know how to deal with them is just be kind. And sometimes I would snap, but like I said, they put in my mind that it was one with multiple voices speaking to you at the same time. And I was like, why would I drink this? That night I was talking, or I don't know, sometimes I'm talking in my head, it's not me, it's them. And then they brought up Ray and Braden, and then because at the time I used to talk in my head, not with my mouth, so it was them talking for me. Sometimes I say talk because I was like, well, you guys are used to filling the words anyways. I thought you know everything, act like as if they know the future of the words. It's like, no, we'll give you options. We'll give you options to take a word. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'll try to ignore, but I was focusing on what I'm doing. And then somebody brought up Ray or Braden, which one you wanted? I was talking and they said, oh, that's when you choose to die. Okay. I was like, why would I choose Braden or die? That's crazy. And then my mind said, Ray. I said, no, that's crazy. If anybody's gonna die, I'll die. Because they were putting in my head that somebody has to die. I don't know, I can't explain it. And I was like, what? Is this real? I was shocked. And I was like, he's like, go ahead and lay next to your daughter. That's your last time you hug her. They took over my mind. I was already tired. I was already sleepy. I was like, no, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. It was like, well, you chose Braden or Ray, or you chose Ray. Why don't you lay next to him one last time or something like that? I was like, no, I will die before choosing any of it. So I said, okay, you have to kill yourself because they're gonna die if you don't. So then they made me take a knife, and I was about to cut my wrist. And I was like, I don't want to. And somebody just said, whatever. And I put the knife back, and then they worked me out. Like I said, I didn't sleep. One day, I slept 17 minutes literally within that 24 hours of me, that week of me losing my daughter. It was in for a weekend. One day I slept 30 minutes, literally within that 24 hours. My family was here. It was like they're guarding you, but they was making it seem as if because they keep saying Jesus, like they hate that name. It's just so much. I don't want you around them because they keep saying Jesus. It was just so much. You spoke to them, they keep bringing up Jesus, bringing up Catholic stuff. It was a lot. And then they said, you have to kill yourself or they die. So I said goodbye to my daughter. That's how you do it. I cried, and then I went outside. I don't like crying in front of people. I gave my daughter a hug. I gave my son a hug. My dad was taking them to school to help me because I had the miscarriage. And when I was in the house, they were saying, who's gonna die, either Ray or Israel? Israel's my brother. What do you mean? I'm like, they said you have to choose one. And they showed me that they're gonna make him crash his truck. And months prior, they were doing like the spirits of people who had the spirits of false prophecies or false prophet spirits. So when you see certain things or says it, it happens. So they had given me a dream that I was going to get into an accident. And the next day, as I was driving, 5 or 6 cars were about to like crash into me. 5 or 6 cars. And that's how you know they can control people. So they put that thought in my head. I was like, okay, I have no choice. They said, Braden, they've been for a while saying Braden is going to hell. They were saying that for a while. They even played an Adam and Eve game in my head. They were saying Braden's going to hell because Braden's line is done no matter what. That's what they kept saying. And then I was saying I don't want my kids to go to hell. And obviously they guys Maddie's going to heaven no matter what. Braden and Ray's going to hell. And I'm gonna kill Ray today if you do not kill yourself. So I started looking for medication. I started looking for alcohol. I did not want to. I was like, I do not want this. My heart, I was fighting it, but they didn't want to listen. They were yelling at me, yelling at me, yelling at me, yelling at me, telling me he's going to die, he's going to die. So then I said, at the end of the day, the fastest way is drink the bleach, and I put 5 in it. But my mind already said, I remember somebody drank Clorox and he still survived. So I'm just going to drink the Clorox and maybe they'll leave me alone and go about their business. Literally. And that's when I was like, okay, can you leave? I'm going to drink it, but I need you to leave. He's like, no, I have to be here to see you drink it. And I kept saying, no, like I want to do it by myself. So they wouldn't leave me alone, so I drank it. I drank a gulp of it and I spit some of it out. And then my stomach went up. I started throwing up everything. I didn't even eat the day prior. I only had like a few. I had rice and sauce bar, but only a few bites. So the sauce bar threw up. I threw up the sauce bar. Then I heard him say, call 911. They wanted me to get back in the crazy house. So then I called 911. Something told me to call poison control. I should just call poison control. But I called 911. When I called 911, the guy in the ambulance was so nice. They were saying basically they don't like the white people because the white people do not worship God as the black people. That's what they were saying. They didn't tell me everything at the time. And I was like, well, he seems nice. And he said, oh, you're trying to throw shade? That's what the Spirit told me. As in, he didn't say shade, but he was saying you're being rude. He was being rude as in saying I'm being rude. I was like, I was saying he seems nice. The guy who in the ambulance, he was a white man. He was very kind. He was talking to me. He was like, yes, my sister, I told him I lost my child. I didn't tell him I was hearing the voice, obviously. He was like, yeah, I understand these things happen. And he was telling them to call poison control to see if they could just leave, because I told him only about the Clorox, to see if he could just leave me, and so he doesn't have to take me to the hospital. And then the guy spoke to the poison control, but he was just saying, yeah, I was trying to help you, but I can't, you're already here. But he had the driver call poison control. He was saying, you don't have to, next time if this ever happens, just call poison control. He was very kind. So I was just, in my head, because I never talked with my mouth. So I said, he seems nice. And there you go. There's good white people. Because they were basically saying 95 to 98% of the world is going to hell. I was saying, there's good white people. And he got mad. These are white spirits. I'm telling you, now that I know. Doing this. And when I got to the hospital, I'm like, okay, I escaped you. He was like, yeah, I was just trying to get you to this hospital. I was like, man, no matter what I do, I can't escape this. It's saying Jesus, but acting like Yahweh. It's like, no matter what I do, I can't escape him. I can't escape him. Then he started being nice, so I started being a little bit manipulative, because I was like, okay, let me act like I'm cool with him, because I hate him. But it's not Yahweh. It was them stealing God's name to do their thing. And then I was like, okay, I have to figure out a way to get away from him. He's a spirit. You can't. Not he, but they were spirits. You can't get away from them. And then I called my sister, I texted my sister, let her know I drank Clorox. She came to the hospital. They wouldn't let her see me, obviously, and that was warning, that text. And then when I was in there, he was like, okay, you're pretending as if, I didn't know they could read my mind. You're pretending as if you wanted to just go ahead and kill yourself so your family doesn't die. You knew what you're doing. I need you to kill yourself. I don't want to kill myself. They kept saying, okay, I'm going to make a deal with you, Satan, obviously. But my mind was gone. They know how to take over your mind. I started seeing phalluses in the ceiling and everything. They were perverted. I kept seeing them. It's like, look how perverted you are. Why are you seeing this stuff? Everything they did to me, they put it on me. I was like, I don't understand. Why am I seeing phalluses in the ceiling? And then they were saying, okay, all your family go to heaven, but you have to go to the sun. They kept giving me all these things to tell me to kill myself. I'm like, I already tried. It didn't work. In my head, I did it. Just leave me alone. I survived. When I was throwing up, I was happy. I felt good. I was happy that I was surviving. But then I was like, nope, pull out your IV. I was like, I don't want to pull out my IV. And then they was like, you have to pull out your IV. I'm getting rid of the scum of the earth. I was like, this sounds like a democratic, what was it? this sounds like a Democratic agenda. That doesn't sound like God. But I didn't know what to do. So my mind kept getting taken over. And I was like, okay, I'll pull out this IV. Because if my family's going to heaven and I go to Sunday, I guess it is what it is. Oh, while I was in there, you know, when you push out a baby, after you get your tubes, after you got cut, C-sections, you're supposed to go back and check if your uterus would rupture. So I was in there. I said, can you guys check my uterus? That was my move to try to figure out things. Can you guys check my uterus to see if it ruptured? And I let them know about the clots. I didn't let them know about the fob. And they checked it. They said everything's fine. I was like, okay. And they kept saying, okay, you did your thing. You're trying to escape. They already knew you're trying to escape. Now pull your IV. So when I pulled my IV, I did this. I did this, so the blood wouldn't come out. They were just stressing me out. They said, you didn't kill yourself. They were stressing me out. They were so evil. And I told the nurse, because the nurse was going to come check my IV. I told the nurse, out here, it came out. I gave it to her. And they put me in the crazy home. The next day, my actual father showed up, or the next night, Yahweh, God, he actually showed up. I didn't see him, obviously, but I heard his voice. And he was telling me, you're my daughter. Like, I was limp, as in my mind was there, but my body was just gone. Like, my body was there. My mind was gone. I was like, hey, I hear you, but yeah, okay. I couldn't believe it. And then I passed out. I died. Or for the entire time, he was trying to get me out of the hospital. And he was trying to help me, but the other spirits were there. And they had people yelling at me. There was one lady there. He told me some things. There was one lady there. She was yelling at me. There was nice people there. They know how to play with your mucus and everything. The spirits, they know how to attack you that way. So if you hear me getting congested, that's them. So he was kind, but I didn't trust him, only because I just went through so much with other spirits who attacked me. And he was trying to tell me, like, that's not him, and I'm fixing him, I'm trying to get you out. But everybody I spoke to did not want to help me. I even saw people that I knew me did not want to help me. I spoke to my family members. The spirits know how to control people around me. And my family came. They said they wouldn't let them in. The doctor interviewed me. He told me, I spoke to him, but when I spoke to him, I was cautious because I didn't want to tell him about, when you speak about God was talking to you, then they say you're crazy. Because when I got in there, that day when I got in there, I saw young people again in the green suit. And the guy said, yeah, I'm in here. The way he said it is like, yeah, I'm in here because I tried to shoot myself. But he didn't say it like, he was just like, oh, why am I in here? That's how his attitude was. So I'm like, doesn't sound like someone who tried to kill themselves to me. And then he's like, cover yourself up, because I've been trying to teach these children to worship God, but he didn't want to listen. So he was being bad or something like that. I don't know what he was saying. And I was like, so he doesn't know my business or something like that. And I just covered myself up, because at that point I was just tortured. I already just pulled out my IV, and I was they already put me in that waiting room prior to taking me to the next room. And that was when I first got in. I went back, and when I was in there, I just knew to stay quiet, calm, and patient. I started talking out loud to them sometimes, but not loud, just through my mouth quietly. And I knew to cover my mouth for the cameras, because I already went through it. A Haitian woman came in there, and she was saying how she lost 5 children, and she was feeling bad for me because I lost a child, and I was going through a hard time. They were basically telling me that, like, don't talk to her because you had abortions. You shouldn't even talk to her. Like, being very rude and mean, saying your time is up. I already came back, and that's why I'm taking off the scum of the earth, and it's too late for you. I'm like, I gave my life over to God. I gave my life over to you prior to the end time, as in I missed a timeline or something. And I saw a young guy. He said, don't look at him, because when I look at him, I see how young he is. It bothers me. It was a guy in his early 20s. So I said, okay, I'm not going to look at him. And then they wheeled me over to, like I said, the ward. And when they wheeled me over to the ward, it's when they were talking to me. They were making me see things. They're talking about their high. I'm like, what in the world? Like, yeah, I've been here in a long time, so I'm checking things out. But it takes certain things. They take your mind. He was like, no, I'm testing the medication because the people in here, the young people, it's bad. I don't want them on this. It's messing up their minds. And then that's how evil they are. They are so evil. They're Jesus spirits. Jesus spirits. It's YHWH, your Bible. Literally Jesus spirits. That's what they call themselves. Society of Jesus. Illuminati, your mama, all of them. I heard the same music. This same music in the hospital I used to hear, like a raunchy sound. I hated it. And I'm like, shoot, you have a lot of people in here that you're doing this to. That's when I realized, I'm like, you have a lot of people that you're in here doing this to. In my mind, I'm like, huh. And then I was just being manipulative. I was just let it be like, okay. It's like, you can help me. And then it was more like staying silent. So I was just like, I'm just staying silent. That's the help they wanted. I didn't know what else. Because every time I talked to somebody, it wasn't helping me anyways. And then that's when I hear the raunchiness. And then people was, before I got rolled over to that ward, I heard there was an older mid-aged white woman. She was heavyset, screaming, saying, Yahweh, let me sleep, I'm tired. Yahweh, let me sleep, I'm tired. They're using God's name to make it seem as if he's Satan, hurting people. And that lady actually, before she got into that holding area, she was saying, yeah, I'm hearing demon voices. Yeah, so they already put in her head that Yahweh is a demon, Yahweh is Satan, but he's not, he's God. YHWH, he's God, he's the one and only true God. So Satan uses God's name. So that's what they did 2024 and early January, early February 2025. That's what they were doing before God actually came back in mid-February. So, like I said, when I was in the room, they were being rude to me. The people were being so rude to me. They wouldn't give me a change of clothes. My milk was still like coming out of my breast. I was still bleeding from the loss of Sarah. They wouldn't give me a change of clothes. They gave me a tampon to wear as milk pads. Finally, when I kept asking, they were being so rude to me. When I gave them my name, they got my name wrong. I just said, whatever, I can't. They gave me Depends to wear, which I'll take it because I was still bleeding. I went through a lot. They were still bothering me. And then, like I said, my father showed up like right before I died. He told me, I asked for daughter. And he was talking to everyone, trying to tell them, get her out. Nobody would help me. No one would help me. And then he started crying through me. That's my dad. He started crying. That's when I realized, oh wow, that's my dad for real. That's my dad. I didn't understand because I never had a father cry for me or a male in my life cry for me. So I was like, wow, that's my dad. That's when I realized he's my dad, because before that I had an attitude when he tried to talk to me because he was being kind. I'm like, I don't trust you because I just went through so much with Yahweh. I just went through so much with the spirit saying that was you. Is this another game? I'm tired. He kept saying, no, I'm trying to get you out of here. I really want you out of here. I did not do this. He didn't tell me about them, but he was saying, I did not do this. And then he said, call your sister. I would call my sister. Everybody was just acting as if I was crazy, but the spirits already knew to attack my family members. And the hospital, the doctor spoke to me, and he even cried when he said, did God tell you to do this? I said, no, but I did it in the eyes of God. When I drank the Clorox, I tried to fix it so it doesn't seem, when you're over there, they're going to say, oh, God's talking to you. They try to make people go over there and say Yahweh so they can say either it was like say something, they try to mess with God's name. They've been doing it throughout time. So he cried, and I thought he was going to let me out, help me out. Next thing you know, they all had attitudes. The nurse had attitude, doctor had attitude, nurses had attitudes, rolling their eyes. One rolled her eyes. I had a panic attack. I thought it was a heart attack. It probably was. I fell to the ground. I said, please take me to the ER, take me to the ER. They said no. They all started laughing at me. My blood pressure was high. The lady said, you take blood pressure medication? I said, no, but if you have high blood pressure, they're supposed to take you to the ER. They didn't want to help me. There was Haitians there who didn't want to help me. No one wanted to help me. It's not their fault. The spirits took over their minds. I gave them my dad's name, Yahweh. Some people laughed at me. They were ridiculing, trying to ridicule God. That's what they're trying to do because the spirits were all there, all around, and I didn't understand. I thought it was the people, but I also thought he was talking to them, and then they were doing their own thing, like being rude, like he's trying to talk to them, and they were being rude. There was another young Haitian girl in there. I think she was younger than me, and they told me to speak to her and just let her know that God's name is Yahweh, because she was going through that back and forth stuff too. And when I did, they said, "You're not gonna believe what she just did. I tested her to see if she was gonna sacrifice somebody, and she sacrificed you." I said, "What?" And I was like, "Wow." Yes, I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna get up and go lay in my bed." And then they started laughing through me. It was an evil one. They started laughing through me. Because as my dad was there, he was watching over me, they were doing their own game. It's almost like they didn't know he was there, so they thought it was a game. So they started laughing through me, and then the girl got mad and started attacking me, talking about, "In the name of Jesus, in the name of Jesus," doing all this. And I was like, whoa. And I couldn't control the laughter. That's how I know it's them. And then I just told them, "Nurse, can you get her out of my room?" Because she was really going to attack me. They put it in her head already to attack me. And they got her out the room. Finally, my dad got me out. It was so much. Then I was at home. FBI was attacking me. It was too much. It was too much to explain. When I say it was too much to explain, it's too much. It was too much. But God is so merciful. He was hoping that they will change. He was giving them so much chances to change. So when I was here, they kept taking out my mind that that's my dad. And they kept calling me DG. I didn't understand what that meant. For a long time, I kept saying God's daughter. So yeah, but I thought I was playing a part so he could save me. That's what they put in my head. I went through a lot. So when they started talking about the story of Zeus and all of this, or the idols, I started understanding. I was like, oh, okay. God had actual children. I'm actually one. I didn't understand. It took months for me to truly understand that. But Yahweh is great. He is God. He is loving. He is good. And they've killed me so many times because every time I try to spread his name, they killed me. They've killed me at the hospital. They killed me at the hospital. I drank the fob. I didn't want to believe it because I didn't understand. He made me start talking through my mouth so he could speak to me, because there were so much devices in my body that it was so loud that I couldn't hear his voice. So many spirits in my body, so loud that I couldn't hear his voice. So he was explaining to me. He was like, "Just cover your mouth when you talk. I'll wear a mask at the hospital." He was kind. He was very kind. But then when he would stop talking, they started playing their game, and it was talk. And I couldn't tell the difference because they would play. I don't know if they didn't realize he was here. Oh yeah. So he was flickering the sun to let them know I'm here, because only he has that power to do that. But they put it in my head as if he was regenerating me, because they knew, but they pretended somebody knew, but didn't want. I don't know. I can't explain that part. But he flickered the sun 2 days in a row to show them that I'm here. So stop messing with my daughter. And they didn't want to listen. To this day, he's taken millions and trillions of spirits off the earth and put them in lava. And some of them still don't want to listen. They have so much envy when it comes to Yahweh. They envy him so much that they hate him. And it's truly sad. That's why it said, "Thou shalt not envy." That's one of the 10 Commandments, because they envy him a lot. And he is so great. He's so merciful. I've died so many times. I would just go through the list. Sarah, her spirit came back and killed me too many times. Her spirit is so evil. I've been molested by these spirits. Oh, okay. So I found out that, okay, so God is Yahweh, and all idols, not all idols, but some idols, like Odin and Zeus, have been created off his story. But he's the Old Testament God. The Old Testament has stories in there, but it's his personality. Those stories didn't happen exactly how they're written. So there was no Adam and Eve. I already put his story in. I put that in another video. There was no Adam and Eve. There was several people. So God created 5 sons before he created us, and then he humans, spirits, put him in human flesh. And then he created my brother, Ronald Denville, who is 9 years older than me, and he put his spirit in his mom's womb, and then he put my spirit 9 years later in my mom's womb. We're siblings. So throughout our lives, those spirits have been attacking us. Those same spirits that drove me nuts and, you know, did all this craziness to me and hurt me, they've been attacking us to breed us because they wanted to build a big Satan to kill Yahweh. And I say that because they can't do that. No one can kill God. No one. Not one person. Not one spirit. Not all of them put together. Yahweh is God. He's forever great. He's the creator. He's the Alpha and Omega. No one can touch him. No one can hurt him. But in their minds, they've just been bred to think they can. Or they've been MK Ultra to think they can. What was I going to say again? So throughout the months, he was keeping me alive. At the same time, he found out that Switzerland built a portal to hell that was pulling spirits out, which we already knew. I found stuff on TikTok, and they left all the black spirits, they call them Haitian spirits, every black person, they call them Haitian spirits, in hell. So he went and pulled them all out. He took them all out and brought them out, because they're all the white spirits, as in the Arabic spirits who are very white, and then the white European spirits who are a little bit less white, we're out here being racist spirits. That's why I say racism and slavery is worse in the spiritual world. That's why it's crazy that how they were pretending to be Yahweh, playing God, and saying, I hate white people. That's not true. He doesn't. He has a history with them, as in the barbarism, as in the idol worshiping, as in the pedophilia, as in the killing and persecution of the next race, the next race, the next race, the next race. So they were playing an evil game, pretending to be him, but trying, I can't explain it. They just wanted the world to serve Satan. They've been doing it since the beginning of time. So the same thing they were doing from the beginning of time, instead of taking accountability for it, they were placing the blame on Yahweh, and that's not okay at all. So when he came back in mid-February, he wanted to redeem everyone. He's been trying to redeem every last person, and they've been giving it 1,000%, like going 1,000% against redeeming. I'm talking about Illuminati. Your mama is the Middle Eastern, filthy rich Arabic princes and kings. Illuminati is the ones in the government, the filthy rich. The Hollywood ones, not so much. They've actually been killing a lot of them. A lot of kids have been going missing. They said it was gonna be worse than COVID. They used celestial prophet to plan. I'm not attacking her anyway, because they already told me this, like they attacked her. It's just she's not a prophet, she's a planner. They use her as a planner. They pretended to be God. They were pretending that's how they were pretending to, that's how they're getting their messages across to each other. This is what we're going to do, this is what we're going to do. So I would say about a month ago, I found out that I was being, about a month ago, June, okay, maybe close to 2 months now, I don't remember. I was being bred, as in they were breeding children from my eggs and my husband's sperm. They were breeding them from the time, I don't know, I want to say 9, 10, maybe older. But we have grown children, and then they were breeding them, and they've been breeding us till this time, up until now. They won't stop breeding us. They've been breeding demigods. They've been breeding demigods like crazy. They love money, they love power. It's the humans that started this with the first 5 fallen demigods. They had their plan. They took us out of Haiti. They brought us here. They've been killing Haitians. They hate Haitians because at one point, Haitians were the last people that were serving Yahweh, so they were God's chosen people. So Haitians were going up to heaven, and like the early 2000s, late 90s, Haitians were still saying Yahweh, and they were saying Jesus, but they were saying Yahweh. So they've been pulling his name away from us, so we can forget his name. They want the entire world to serve an idol. So when we do not pray to him, Yahweh, he doesn't hear our prayers, so they can have hell on earth, as in slavery, as in they want slavery in the flesh, they want slavery in the spiritual. Slavery in spiritual is worse than slavery in the flesh, because slavery in the spiritual, you don't catch a break. You don't catch a break. You get harmed, you get raped. It's bad. It's truly bad. The more I talked, the more I told people God's name, the more I told the truth. They've been killing me. They killed me with lethal injections. They had Sarah do that. They had like, they call it back pad. The spirits wrap themselves around something. I'm sorry. It's done. I'm sorry. We're going through the third world war. It's very spiritual. God is here. God is fighting spirits. They know to do that, so I can stop talking. I even had to put this paper up here because it's playing in my mind, making me feel weird that I'm watching myself talk. That's why you see me looking up sometimes. But yes, I had to clear my throat and my nose. They know how to make mucus come up. Just stop me from talking. They know how to do it. It's too many things to count. What was I going to say again? So they gave me the spirits, the demigod spirits, which at the time I didn't know were my children, backpack full of lethal injections. They said about 1,000. It probably was over. Like each section was tiny needles. I felt the burn all throughout my body. I thought I was going to die. And I'm not gonna lie, I thought I was going to die finally, because I was being tortured by them so much. Tortured by them. And then Sarah came here acting like she was good, saying, oh, I'm gonna let go of your body because Trump is on that scent to kill you, and he stole money from you, he stole this money from you, he stole that money from you. But they're using numbers. When they're using numbers, they're counting how many demigod spirits they're creating. Well, not creating, they were breeding. And I was like, whoa. And then I heard, at the time I realized, I already knew that I had devices in my head. Everybody had devices in their head, chips to that they talk through. And I heard him get on there. He was being so disrespectful, so rude. It's like, yeah, I can't watch you die. He's so disrespectful. He's so arrogant, so disrespectful, so rude. And then Sarah made it seem as if my dad was ready to let me go. So then I'm like, okay, let me call the hospital. And I was letting everybody know. I text people. I'm like, I'm out, you know, in my own way. And I went to the hospital. I called the ambulance. I went to the hospital. When I got to the hospital, I just wanted a toxicology report. Sarah's acting as if she's my good daughter. Her spirit was out here. My dad raised her up, as in Yahweh. He raised her up, gave her power, spoke to her, gave her wisdom. And she used to call him Dad all the time. And then she acted as if she was there to protect me, but then she's the one I was giving me the shots. And then she was like, I'm gonna drop you now. And I was like, okay, but she got stuck. My dad held her here. She was actually killing me, and it was gonna put it on somebody else, acting as if she was protecting me, because my spirit's not in my body. My dad has my spirit, because they would been wanting to take my spirit. That's what they wanted, because spirits eat spirits. as in spirits eat spirits. When they eat spirits, they get bigger and they get more powerful, which is evil to do. So they wanted my spirit for that. So Sarah's spirit got locked in my body, and then she was like, "Oh, I was supposed to drop you," but she kept saying "Dad," and she was talking to Yahweh, but I can't hear him unless he speaks to me. So when they speak back and forth, it's manipulation. So she's speaking as if she's sending a message to, but she's speaking a message to somebody else, and she's playing an evil game and manipulating everyone around her. And she was like, "Yeah, we got the hospital ready for you because there are evil spirits around here. You don't want them to attack you." And then she was like, "Oh, that spirit thought I was Yo-Yo because for 3 months I was dealing with Yo-Yo. Yo-Yo is evil. Yo-Yo killed me. He crushed my inside in. It hurt so much. There was so much pressure. And then the top of my head, I felt a vein pop. When I felt the vein pop, I just felt so weak. I felt so sick to my stomach. And then I got up from the patio. I went to the couch and I passed out, and I just woke up with so much energy. My dad woke me back up, and I kept saying, "I know I died," but they kept saying, "No, you didn't. No, you didn't. No, you didn't." They were trying to cover it. But in the entire time, he was like this with Sarah, acting as if, but they do this trash talk. It's so evil. It's a lot of curse words, and it's a lot of rudeness to each other. So he would call her all kinds of rude names, and they would do all these sexual images. It's disgusting. That was one time. One time I was laying outside. That's before the lethal injection. He squeezed onto my heart and tried to kill me that way. It didn't work. Another time, he burned up my body so hot. I screamed. I was outside. I screamed. Another time, they filled me up with spirits. He filled me up with so many spirits. The spirits started tugging at my body. Felt like, and then pulling at my leg, and it just felt horrible. It was like the most horrible pain, to the point where I was asking my dad for mercy, but he didn't like that. He loves me so much. He did not want that. He wanted me to live on this earth until I old age, but I'm so okay with not being here. Yeah. My reason, and he understands. I'll explain it to you. So after Yo-Yo finally left, they knew how to play a manipulative game. I used to complain to my dad. I was like, "Yo-Yo's evil. Yo-Yo's evil. Yo-Yo's evil. Yo-Yo's evil. He's hurting me. Yo-Yo would say, I'm just working. Your dad will understand. Your dad, Grandpa, you understand. They know how to manipulate. But my dad wasn't getting the messages. And then he'll say, I don't have that power. But my dad, not only is he not, he was, but he knows how to handle his business because he has all the wisdom. I thought he was not getting the messages. He pulled so many trillions of evil spirits out of me. Yeah, I know it's at least 2 trillion evil spirits over a total of time. They get so tiny. I've seen them so tiny. They can be. You see this pinpoint right here? They get that tiny. Okay? So they fill up your body. They can get as lengthy as a tape measure. That's the human spirits. They're very white and black, and then I recently found that Native Americans are gold. That's how Yahweh categorizes the races that he created, the certain races that he created, because okay, yeah, and yeah, there's so they can get very tiny. And then Yo-Yo filled my body up. He kept filling my body up and lying, saying that there's no spirits in here. I didn't even know that I had devices in here. When he got fed up, I guess he was just like, okay, I'm getting out. And he went up. Sarah took her turn. She came violently to, that's after she had already come here and tried to squeeze my heart twice. And I was like trying to explain to her. She was like, well, they told me that you got rid of me. She was a manipulator. They told me that you killed me, that you aborted me. They told me, she was just saying all this stuff. I was trying to speak to her. She called me the B word. When she called me the B word, I got upset. I called her that back because they know how to manipulate so bad. And she was so violent in my body. And I was like, well, let's just sit here and fold clothes. I couldn't do anything else. And I'm trying to teach him, like, I did not harm you. I did not want you to die. I was trying to talk to her about it. I understand she knew everything. She just didn't care. She's evil. So when she couldn't squeeze my heart, she left. I used to ask for her. I said, why Sarah never comes to visit me? Come hang out, Sarah. We could get to know each other, could talk. I used to ask for her all the time, but she never wanted to come visit me. Each time she came to visit me, she tried to kill me. She only came to visit me to kill me. Only time. And one time she came, she spoke to Yo-Yo, and then she's like, I have to leave. She got up and left. And I was taking a shower. I'm like, Yo-Yo, I don't like him in the shower because he's perverted. But you know, my body encapsulates their spirit. But there's a reason why they're here. I didn't understand. They were breeding me this entire time. That's why they didn't want to leave. Well, breeding children through me. So, let me see. So, she squeezed on my heart twice. She acted like it was Hawa. I think one was Hawa, and Sarah came the next day, and I tried to tell her, be careful, but I think it was Sarah. I'm not too sure. Hawa, I dealt with her. Well, Hawa is YHWH. He has a deep voice, but feminine, speaks feminine. That's the second created son. I only dealt with him out loud a few times. He was a manipulator, very badly. He used to make me seem as if you're not my sister, you're black, and just too much stuff. But they're evil. I can't even get into that story. They're so disgusting. They're overly sexualized. And there's rapists. So let me see. So I've come across YHWH. He's a rapist. He's evil. That's Satan Jesus. Him and all his friends. YHWH called himself Hawa. He put his name in the Bible as Eve. He's gay, but he's evil. He's considered, you could consider him Allah. He trained those your mama people on that side how to be perverted and how to rape and how to harm and how to manipulate. That's his personality. He used to harm the children, my children. Number 3 is Too Cool. Michael the Angel. He's evil. He's the one that pulls at ribs. So I realized that was him pulling at my rib, and you can consider him Buddha and Vladimir the Impaler together because he likes to eat and he's big. And when I say big, he likes to eat. Whoa, he likes to eat actually. The spirits, but he likes to eat food. And number 4. He's evil, but I don't know, I don't really understand him much. They're all racist. Number 5, they're all racist. They all hate, all 5 of them, they all hate Haitians. They are so racist. They hate black people. They're racist. All the young demigods, me, starting from Ray down, are Haitian. We all have Haitian blood in us. We're Haitian descent. We all have Haitian blood, but they taught them to hate Haitians so much, the older 5. So Sarah tried to hold my heart, like squeeze my heart, give me heart attacks several times. The injection was the worst. I went to the hospital. The doctor, they gave a CAT scan. They said they didn't see anything. The doctor gave me a toxicology report and said everything's normal. Lies. They know how to control people. Whether the doctors hear something, they say, okay, I'm just gonna lie. They're scared. I went home. I was like, okay, that was a waste of time. Yahweh heals me. He healed me. Thank you, Father. I appreciate you. That's my dad. I appreciate him. He always hears me. Yeah, he's like, yes, I do. He said, yes, I do. And he's fighting. He's literally fighting the spirits right now. He does all things. He's fighting. He's nurturing, because I'm talking and he's still supposed to speak to me. He's listening. He's doing everything. God does everything. And then there was something else. Oh, so the ejection, after Sarah left, she stayed here for about 3 days. She put some like metal pad stuff. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I've never seen it, but I could feel it when it touched my head. They had bullets. They started shooting at me. It was like pellet things. It would hurt. It was hurting my whole head. he got to like 53 or 50 something. And one day that was Manushka with Manushka. Manushka's another one. She's evil. She's a violator. They're rapists. Manunu, they go by Nunu, Manushka, Monique. Manushka started putting the needles again. The needles were already done. There was no injections. She started putting more needles on my forehead, my brain, like everywhere. Just needle after needle after needle after needle after needle. The celebrities, the Illuminati, your mamas, they had apps that they pressed that would give me a shot, like shoot me several times. I went through so much. When they shot me in my head, they even shot me with a bullet in my head. I opened my eyes. I saw a bullet come through the room, and I saw a white light take the bullet. My dad caught the bullet and teleported it out somewhere else, probably to lava. They did that 3 times. One, they translocated right into my brain. It was there. He removed it. He's done surgery on me so many times, too many times to count. They shot my daughter, Madison. They killed her several times. Braden, they've given him cyanide. You'll see a picture where he's all white. They've given it to him about 4 times. One time at school, his teacher sent a picture saying, his mouth is white. I know he has a history of seizure. He has a seizure. I said, no. I didn't know what it was at the time. This was before my dad got here. I only found out when one of the FBI agents admitted, saying, yeah, he didn't admit, but he was gloating, saying, yeah, I killed your son. Ha, ha, ha. I gave him cyanide. And then when my son woke up, he was like, oh, what was the point? But I could hear, we all went through it. We could hear him talking through the chips. World War III is very spiritual, physical and spiritual. Yeah. So after that, they've killed him several times. They've eaten at our meat. They've eaten at our bones. More recently, I went to, they were medical. Now I went to JFK this time because Kimberly, who's evil, and Sarah, who found her way back by Yo-Yo, who's sneaky, used a spirit to suck up all my blood. I don't know if you're able to see. If you see this black area, that's my vein. It's black. It's so black and dry. You see? And it's so black and dry. I don't know if you can see it. Right here. It's hard to see from here. I'll try to show you. I have a video up. Back here. Yeah, my veins are black and black. They're done. Right here, you see a vein right here, black. I'm trying to show you. It's not easy to see from this camera. But right here, it's so black on the inside. It's truly not easy to see from this camera. Yes, but that's the black vein. Yeah, you can see it. It's darker here because the vein behind it is black. Okay. So my body has no blood. No blood. They drained my blood. So when I went to the hospital, I went there. I said I need a blood transfusion. I have no blood. Everybody knows I'm God's daughter at this point. People talk. They have the appareil. It's a device, but when I was trying to translate what the device is called, I said appareil. So we got used to saying appareil, but that's not what it's called. It's a device that's a loudspeaker that's all around the world. It's all around the world. People can hear it. It's sound alarm, like Celestial said. Yeah, so it's all around the world. You can hear it. When it's off, it sounds like crickets or cicadas. You can hear it. You can hear it. What's her name? Kimberly, who's still here. You say shit. That's her personality. She had a spirit go into my heart, suck up all my blood. It was so painful. It was so painful. I'm like, okay, I don't know. I'm not even gonna go to the hospital because I know my dad's going to heal me for 100%. 100% sure. But if something says something, go to the hospital. Well, okay, I'm about to go get proof. So then I called the ambulance. I went to the hospital. And when I went to the hospital, um, when I went to the hospital, the sound system was loud. It said, "Goddaughter's here. Take care of her." My dad is talking to them. My dad actually rose up a woman who was so sick. She had her own hospital bracelet. I have my hospital bracelet somewhere. Her own hospital bracelet, and she had IV in her arm as well. And she had the blue shirts, you know, the people who take her social security information for billing. And she came in there, she was smiling, and then he had let me know that I rose her up just to come so she knows this is spiritual. And then she was smiling. I was like, Yahweh bless you. She was like, yeah, God is with me. She was smiling, she was happy. That was proof that he's the one that rose her up, because she was like, I'm a patient here too. She let me know. She was like, I'm a patient here too. And I'm like, yeah. She had her IV still in her arm. She had a hospital bracelet on. She came to get my information because they've been getting attacked like crazy. So I'm like, I just need a blood transfusion. I got so upset because they went and did blood tests. The tubes they took were like this, like right here. And then they filled up about this much each tube, right? 3 tubes, about this much each tube. And they couldn't take much more. And when they came back, before they left, I told him my blood is usually at 11, which is already low. Before, when he came back, he said, your blood's at 11, you're being discharged. I was there for less than an hour. I was like, with everything you've already heard, this has been months. And that was, I believe, Saturday, Friday, I don't remember. It's July 31st, 2025 now. With everything, and my dad's been here since mid-February, talking to everyone, trying to let everybody know my name is Yahweh. I'm God. I'm the one true King of the heavens and earth. I'm the one that created every last one, but every last being, every last planet. He's been showing them. He's been burning up planets for lava. They see it, but they've been dealing with so many. They've decided, so many of them decided to be racist and evil, and they want hell on earth. That's what they've been saying. Hell on earth, hell on earth, hell on earth. That's fun for them. And they want money. They want DG power. So, demigod power. So, Kimberly made them drain me. And then when the doctor came back, he gave me my discharge paper, but did not give me results. He just told me, yeah, you're 11, you can be discharged. I was so upset, I cursed, because I was like, you guys know what's going on. You guys know I'm God's daughter. And I just needed a blood transfusion. You won't do that for me. And I got up and I left. They even lied, saying that the blood was contaminated. Not the doctor, but the spirits from lying and doing all this stuff. So I got up, I left, I walked. I was so weak. But he was holding me. I was so weak. And then I called my sister. I put my phone in charge outside. I called my sister to pick me up. She brought me home. And then when she brought me home, my dad spoke to him. He said, yeah, your blood was at 7.2. However, they only give blood transfusion at 7. So I Googled, they get start at 8 to 7. So I was like, okay, America's part of it. America was lying, saying it's Middle East. But America's part of it, because we were asking for the FBI to show up. They didn't show up. They're always flying over my house, So that day I said, okay, America's definitely part of it. I see. And then, let me see. While I was writing my Facebook posts about what's going on, has just been documenting certain things that's been happening. That's her doing that. When I was writing about the history of the world, the actual history, Yahweh already let us know that the Native Americans fell fast because the Europeans came over and tried to do a Catholic reformation, and the ones that wouldn't reform Jesus, they killed, and the ones that, decided to worship idols, other idols, they left alone. So they got mad and they cut off my power. I was like, okay, my phone's been tampered with. They already let me know out loud that they had a duplicate copy of my phone. My phone's been tampered with. They cut off the power, like the power grid, the entire power grid. Then my dad went to go handle it. They put it back on. They always try to say, "Oh, sorry, it wasn't us," this and that. Then they attacked us. The same planes that always try to fly around acting as if they're watching over me, helping my dad. They started dropping grenades. I saw a grenade about this size, maybe about this size, and a cylinder fall on top of the roof. It was about to hit the roof this close, and then the white light grabbed it, which is a teleport, like a portal, teleportation portal, grabbed it, and my father threw it out. So my father, he came to save us. He's Yahweh. He's the only one who redeems. He's the only one who saves. While he's been here, he's been doing his investigation. He likes to investigate. And he's the reason why I know that I have so many demigod children out there. I have millions. He's been taking them as much as he can to train them up, to make them into warriors. He's God of the heaven's armies, literally. They are very respectful, but then there are some that are very, very evil. Like the ones I mentioned, Yo-Yo, Sarah, Kimberly, Manushka, Manunus, 24, Fives. I'm saying the S is at the end because they try to keep those names, because what they do is once they harm, the most evil one has to send off the softest one to lava. The most evil one sends off the softest one to lava. But we've been telling them, stay away from them, stay away from them. But they won't listen. They're so attached to them. So they're basically sacrificing their own lives and going to lava for the evil ones. So the evil ones is the one harming, and then the other one's just waiting in line to go to lava. Okay, I have to go to lava. And they're calling them B words. Like, that's what you are. That's what they're breeding them for. Just to harm them. They love to kill, love to harm. This year, so many kids have gone missing. I'm talking about human children have gone missing. We are God's children. God is the one who created everyone, but he also, before creating human flesh and human spirits, he created his own children, 5 created children, 5 created spiritual children, demigods. And that's what America and the Middle East wants. It just wants to keep breeding. They don't understand there's a repercussion to that they're going to kill the whole earth. The bad ones have been literally flipping kids into the lake. It's this, a second flip, into lakes, into rivers, into the beach, flip. They've been killing so many children, millions of children, adults, children, adolescents, babies, just for their spirits. Flip. Like that. Can you imagine? That's how they're killing. That's how they're killing. They killed in Africa. The bombing in Gaza was all false flag. Just to start World War III, as we already knew that was going to start World War III, but we didn't know it was going to be spiritual. And then they killed. What was it? They act like, for them, this is how much a spirit is worth. Like, it's just a bag of tacks. You just get rid of them. For them, both human spirits and demigod spirits. That's how they feel. It's just a bag of tacks. Just toss them when they're done. That's how they've been doing it. So it's time for me and my family to get off. For my family and I to come off the earth as in flesh, because they're using my eggs. They're using my daughter's eggs. Unfortunately, she's 10. They're waiting for my son to turn 9 to start using his sperm. They're using my husband's sperm. There was a lot of other children they bred through my eggs. Zuri, she's very beautiful. She looks like me. That's LeBron James and his wife. They bought her as an IVF. DJ Khaled, Alam. He's handsome. He's a very cute little boy. They used him. All these children have died because of them. Who else? I'm sorry. P. Diddy, the twins. She had a Chance, the youngest one. She I don't know if she's Hispanic or Asian. They called her. They said she was Asian, but the woman who gave birth to her, the woman who gave birth to her doesn't look like her. She's Hispanic. But they're saying he had her with an Asian woman, probably Haitian woman, and mixed somebody else's sperm because she is my twin as a baby. And they killed her at 1 year old, they said. They killed her at 1 year old. He had her, I want to say, last year or the year prior. I don't even know where her spirit is. I don't know who she is, because spirits, once they grow up, if they don't have a memory, once they're awoken, they have their own personality. If they don't have a memory, they don't have obviously their own personality. But okay, so she was 1. She died at 1. So she grew up like this when she woke up. So from that, she's already whoever they taught her to be. If they taught her to be other people, I'll talk about other spirits. If they taught a spirit to be sexed up or kill, that's exactly who they are. Just like a serial killer. But if they grew up in a house where they had a father who was a serial killer, which is rare in the flesh world, but in the spiritual world, it's 99% of them. 99%. Yeah, 99% until Yahweh got here. 99.9%. That's why slavery is so bad in the spiritual world. They've been taught to be killers, extremely sexual. Now that he's here, he's been fixing it, but it's bad. It's so bad in the spiritual world. If my family isn't off the face of the earth, because we've been asking for America to give us what's it called? A hysterectomy for me and my daughter, and a scrotum removal for my son and my husband. We've been asking for that, but they won't give it to us because they rather keep breeding demigods. Demigod spirits are literally, when it comes to power and size, human demigod. It doesn't make sense. They've bred millions of demigods. Power and size. Human spirit, demigod spirit. It does not make sense. The humans and flesh is like they can't understand. It's like they're so evil and greedy. They want money. They want power. They want the power to kill. The demigod is just they're the only ones that have the power to teleport things. So they've been stealing gold from everywhere for themselves, cash from everywhere for themselves, going into people's phones and stealing information. They do certain things. It's too much to tell you, but it's not what's in the Bible is not what you think it is. The Old Testament personality is for Yahweh. That's his personality, Yahweh. And some of the, like the Moses story, there was an actual Moses, but his people were brown and they betrayed God. They're the ones that started serving. They went to the north to deal with the Romans, which are in the Romans. We already know so the brown people were Yehudim. The Romans were already fallen. They betrayed Yahweh, and I already put it in there. They betrayed Yahweh, and when they betrayed Yahweh, they took Zeus, changed Zeus into Jesus, and from Jesus changed it to Jesus. So the spellings you'll see in the Geneva Bible, it goes over to the KJV Bible to Jesus. Okay, and then, sorry, the OK was Kimberly. She wanted to cut in. So they want millions of this to this. Okay? Demigod, human spirits. This doesn't make sense. I've been telling them it doesn't make sense. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. You're going to kill off the entire earth because they cannot be tamed. That's why Yahweh had to make lava, because of too many. They're breeding humans just to have spirits to throw away like pennies, like tax. And they're breeding demigods. One demigod eats a human. They're just eating humans and other demigods to get power. They can eat millions of humans. Millions of humans. And when they eat them, I'm talking about they put them in their stomach. They rape them. They harm them. They kill. That's their spirits. They kill them. They harm 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 them. And then they just have fun. And they go find flesh humans. And then they kill them. Toss them in the water, let them die. Toss them in the water, let them die. On the orders of a human in the flesh. A human in the flesh. You understand? A human in the flesh. We all, when we're in the flesh, are humans in the flesh. but our spirits are different. Spirits, this is the power part. The spirits, you understand? Power, size. But a human in flesh is not thinking about brothers and sisters, aunties and uncles that they're harming. They think, okay, I'm big. I see a demigod spirit that might be this big. They might be 6 feet tall, but I'm going to be their friend. But when I'm their friend, I'm going to talk trash to them, be disrespectful to them, and I'm going to make them do things that I want them to do, and I'm going to control them with mind games. But the demigod spirits, they're so smart. They already know. All they want to do is use the bodies, because a lot of them didn't have bodies, or if they had bodies, they threw out their bodies because their bodies were so severely harmed, raped, and tortured by the same human in flesh that bred them. And they think the more they breed demigods, the more power they have, the less power you have. I've been saying that, the less power you have. Because the more demigods out here, they're already eating each other for power. So once they're done eating all the human spirits, they're killing all the humans in the flesh, and they're eating all the human spirits, they're going to eat more demigods. This world is going to be so annihilated if we don't leave. Yahweh is God. He could heal me 1,000,000 times over. He's done too many times to count. Trump said he killed me 40 times. I don't know. I know when I was a child, they tried to kill me as a baby. I remember in 4th grade, I started throwing up. I was fine. All of a sudden, I threw up. It's yellow fluid, almost this color. This color. I kept throwing that up. I went to the emergency room. I've been shot in the head, inside, from inside. I don't know how to do things from inside. A lot of you dealt with this. The spiritual war is so. The third war is so spiritual. They use spirits to do this with gunpowder and little gadgets. I've been stabbed in the forehead. Last night I got stabbed inside the forehead. Trump did that, and I was trying to tell Kimberly to control me. They can't control me. God keeps me up. He's Yahweh. He's God. He keeps me up. They want her to control my mind, because demigod spirits can do that. They wear them as bulletproof vests, as in, if I have one on me, you can't kill me. It's bad. They trade them as if game cards. I don't know. But it's bad on both sides. It's evil. It's so evil. Breeding is so evil. They've been breeding humans. So the babies are waking up to rape, cursing, like people cursing at them, harming them. They're screaming. That's the worst way to wake up. That's the worst way to wake up in life. It's harmful. It's so harmful. It's evil. It's so evil. Breeding is the worst thing ever. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. They've been breeding me. They've been breeding other humans. They just want spirits, because they're still in the flesh. They figure I'm still in the flesh, and they're mind to think they're going to live forever. When they get out here, they're literally this, and well, here, this is their actual size. Personally, that's their actual size. Literally, that's their actual size. That's dissipated, but it's literally their actual size. And when they want to dissipate smaller, they go to that point. And then when they want to be in full figure, they're a tape measurement, depending on when they died, their height. I'm assuming depending on when they died, their height. So yeah, like a lengthy, like this, lengthy, maybe a little bit thicker. That's the human spirits, but their height, yeah. Or a bit shorter sometimes. I don't know. I haven't seen them like that for a while, because they've been killing and breeding babies, breeding embryos. I'm sorry. As soon as the spirit forms, they kill the embryo. They wake up the spirit. They start raping, yelling, saying, "You have to be your mama. You have to be your mama." They put an agenda in their heads: kill Yahweh, kill Lubina, kill yes, us too, kill Braden. They don't want to kill Braden. They want to breed him. But yeah, they're always trying to say, kill Yahweh, kill Yahweh. Yahweh is God. You guys cannot kill God ever. They've killed me too many times, and God's been holding me too many times. I'm going to go through it again. It's been so many times. Heart attacks. I can't count how many times. Heart attacks. I honestly cannot count the heart attacks. Injections. I got one even sitting here. It's not as bad as the before, but even sitting here, I got one. Actual hot lethal injection that kill convicts with. Injections, bullets that I can feel that are a bit smaller than these. In my mind, my dad teleports them out all the time. Teleports out. Oh, they're hurting me right there. Gillette. They had one in my back that cut my back from the inside. He found a knife within my body. Yeah, it's been bad. Let me see. They're cutting my throat from the inside. Oh, that was disgusting. It's been bad. I don't want to get into too much detail because some of them know too much things and they do too many things. All I'm telling you is Yahweh is God. He wants to keep us on the earth, but it makes more logical sense to remove us because they won't. America does not want to remove our reproductive parts. They even I don't know if you saw that blue spirit. That's some of the demigods. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. Yeah, and when they do that, they are trying to look for eggs. We don't know who's good or we don't know who's bad. Some of them are brown, some of them are blue, some of them are white. And then there are some beautiful, beautiful colors that my dad gave to the ones that he raised up. He rose them up. The ones that are fight underneath him, underneath his authority. Yahweh is the one that gives authority. So they are perfect. He is perfect. Sorry, he is perfect. And they are my loving children that I love so much. They protect me. He protects me. They watch over the world under his command. He is very disciplined. He's God. He's very disciplined, and he has all the wisdom. He has all the wisdom, and he disciplines us well. He corrects us. He changed us into more mature people, personalities, spirits. He's great. He's loving. He's the Alpha and Omega. No one comes before him. No one comes after him. And his name is Yahweh. And I promise you that's his name, Yahweh. Everybody knows his name. But they've been persecuting people to not say his name. Do not let the future forget his name. Do not let the children of the future forget his name. That's happened. Watch my other video. It's happened too many times. When you do that, when the idol worshiping starts, everybody's going to lava. And that's horrible. Life is so eternal. When I leave this flesh, I'm going to live my full life. As in, I'm up there already. I'm up there already. My name is Yahweh, and I'm up there. That's my dad. I fight underneath his command, and I'll be up there with my children. We'll be in a better position because here it's not good. I hate the breeding. The breeding is sad. The breeding is so sad. I can't do nothing but sit here, and Kimberly, sits in my body, just waits to steal eggs. She won't leave. She just wants to breed because she likes to eat. She has to eat for power. She's not good. She's not good at all. And when she goes to lava, we'll forget about her. I love everyone, and I am out. And just know Yahweh loves everyone. He's the most patient, obviously the only God. He's the most patient, loving, kind, merciful God. He's also the fiercest warrior. He's the Old Testament God, and that's not going to change. And his name is Yahweh. This is his earth. He created this universe. Everything in it is his. So for anyone who wants to keep persecuting and harming others and forcing them not to say Yahweh, just know your life ends in lava. When I say end, it doesn't. You're just going to be out there screaming forever. Because the more you breed spirits, the least we can help. The least he can help. He can always help you, but the least he will help you because he doesn't have time. You're breeding. So I'm going to say like this. It sounds bad, but your value drops. As in, it sounds bad, but your value drops because if he has 10 evil spirits, he can talk to them. He can raise them up. He can give them wisdom. He can teach them. He can make them better. But then what they've been doing is giving people irregular periods by breeding them and stealing their embryos prior to them having periods or late periods, children, adult, grown women. So they from let's go from 1,000,000 spirits to trillions of spirits. There's trillions of human spirits out there. Trillions of spirits out there. Human spirits out there. When do you think he'll have the time to actually teach and give knowledge to all those spirits and move them around in the galaxies and get you guys out of lava if you're acting like this, if you keep breeding? That's why I say your value decreases. Not that your value decreases, but it's time has to go to other things because you're focused on breeding. Leave people alone. Stop breeding. So those people who are already in lava, some of your friends, some of your family members have less time in lava. I'm not gonna say they get out, because as soon as you guys hear they get out, they say, oh, we can do whatever we want. There's no consequence. There is a big consequence. Lava burns. Lava burns. Lava burns. Lava burns. They've burned me and did too many things. My body and my spirit have gone through burns. That's all I had to say. Just know, excusez-moi, si fait li parler pour parler en créole, li parler pour me dire ça. Yo ay non Yahweh c'est bon Dieu. Quand elle m'a dit grâce Yahweh avec vous, li dans la bouche moi. Mais grâce Yahweh avec nous toutes. Excusez-moi pas dire en créole, me parler en créole. M'pas de problème parler créole, mais au cas ouais, il fait me parler sous langue. Li dit m'a fait parler sous langue, les va faire vidéo ça. Li remet de tête li, et comme ça me dit, remet de tête li pour te pas parler. Depuis bon Dieu avec vous, pas une pièce qui a détiré ou qui a fait mal. Même là où fait mal, on va toujours camper. Même là où pas là, on va toujours gagner la vie éternelle. Life eternal, sorry. It's the way she's pulling my tongue. So, Yahweh bless you, he's with you. If God's with you, who can be against you? And just know, Lisutetu, that means he's above you. So he's here, as in, he's exalted obviously, but that was the thing he told me when he came back to visit me after he left for a little bit to come back. But all right, you guys have a good night.